Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 453, and today we're doing battle in the Mastering Runeterra Eternal Open. And so I finally got to circle back to another one of these Mastering Runeterra events. I always have the best of intentions to every month play in the Runeterra one, the main Riot one, and then I try my best to make my way into the Mastering Runeterra event. It feels like over the course of the past like 4, 5, or 6 months, life has just gotten in the way, and I haven't been able to do it. It kind of is what it is, but I love to be able to come in and support these grassroots style events. And get to come in and play this. And so, as I always say at the beginning of our best of 3 videos, if you're wanting to see any of these deck lists featured across the channel, you can typically scroll backwards in time and find some videos along the way there. For the most part, we haven't really covered off on these videos. The Demacia Poppy Tarek style deck we've touched on a little bit, but at its core, we're playing Mageseeker formidable decks today. All 3 of these decks are featuring the Mageseeker Jr. with Champion Strength along with the Balin package, and they're all really at their core those big formidable based kind of death and taxes style disruption decks, and then they're getting a little bit of flavor from these other factions. And so we'll circle back. We'll talk about the deck lists a little bit more than we typically do, since they might be a little bit different to what you're used to seeing. But first and foremost, I wanted to kind of cover off on my thoughts on the format. And so at a really high level, this is how I think is a fair and safe approach to the Eternal format. Number one, the format's pretty wide open. As you go into the ladder, it's just like the highest play rate deck is like 2 or 3% win rate. I expect a lot of really on meta decks today to surface, and not just too much of the crazy shit that you see in the Eternal queues. But with that in mind, I think you want to be playing good decks. And so as you may only play like 50, 60, 70% of your matches against the kind of on meta decks, you don't want to run into just like random brew that's not very good, but your deck isn't really capable of just like laddering well, right? And so you're like, oh god, I got to play against Ekko Zilean or some bullshit today. You want to be able to have a reasonable game plan against the card printer there, and not just be like ultra focused on beating Cosmic Call or something. And so you want to be playing good decks, and I say B, with good cards. And so as you're going to see, we're playing like these Mageseeker Junior based decks today. It's very easy to kind of go off the rails with these things and start to play like Shurima and add in the random Landmark of Imitation or something. That's starting to get into the space to where we're playing good decks with bad cards in it. And I think it's nice to be kind of memey every once in a while and have a little bit of fun like that. But ultimately, if you're trying to have a lot of success in one of these events, you want to be playing a good deck, B, with good cards in it, and none of that meme shit. So moving on to the second point, this is what I think the successful archetypes we're going to see today are. You're going to have Cosmic Call decks. I think the best Cosmic Call deck is the P and Z version. I would not be surprised if we run into triple Cosmic Call lineups, but it's one of those decks to where the strength kind of falls off quickly, I think. And so I think the stronger lineups will probably have Cosmic Call P and Z. I think the triple Cosmic Call lineups, while we'll probably see some success just due to the strength of the cards and the volume that they'll be played in, I don't think that that's the strongest thing you can be doing. Up next is going to be concurrent timelines. Jax Vi is one of the most popular decks right now. I think that deck is garbage. I think a lot of the stats are currently scuffed. If you go and look at Runterra.ar, I'm still sitting up in like top 50 masters right now playing against Iron 4 players. And so it's one of those decks that really preys upon the kind of lower skill caps and untuned decks that you see in the meta. I think there are great concurrent timelines decks. I think the most common one we're going to run into is Jax Vi, and I think out of playing Trundle, which is the good one, playing Bandle City with the Banana Blasters is the next best option, and then Jax Vi is down there at third. But we're certainly going to see that at the kind of peak of popularity today. Up next are the everywhere archetypes. That's what I consider the Balin deck to what we're playing here today. These are the archetypes that have some kind of growth and scaling into it that doesn't necessarily involve your units being active on the board. And so if you want to think of a card like Nami now, where Nami has to see the effects happen, that's not what I think you really want to be doing. It's just too fragile. And so if you think of something like Seraphine, as to where she doesn't have to see the spells to be played to pop off in the late game. You have cards like Balin, to where he can attack, get silenced, but he still provides value throughout the remainder of the game because of that everywhere buff. And then I also lump cards like Akshan into this style of archetype, to where once he's able to get a Warlord's Horde or a Warlord's Palace on the board, that effect is still going to be active even if Akshan gets removed. And so these style of effects, to where they do something powerful even after the initial effect is gone, or the initial effect can build up and come down later, are quite strong. And so I kind of lump the everywhere strategy together. That's what we're doing with the Formidables. I consider our deck to be an everywhere based deck. Last but not least is decks like Pirates. Draven Sion has made a big resurgence over the past 3 or 4 days. We've made some kind of variance changes to kind of account for the acceptance of Draven Sion into the meta. And so for my last piece here, I think Pirates may just actually be the best deck in the meta right now, but not enough people are playing it. I think we are going to see a fair amount today of playing Pirates and Draven Sion and a third bad aggro deck, which we're hoping to kind of prey upon the third deck. I don't think this is a meta to where you can play a bad third deck, like Elusives is a bad deck right now, Annie Jhin is a bad deck, things like Poppy Ziggs are very bad decks, and I think that that's going to be something that kind of hampers the lineup. And so I think, the thing I should realistically be doing today, and it really surprises me that I'm just not bringing the Decimate decks, is that Pirates and Draven Sion are quite strong right now. But that does kind of bring the idea of the kind of triangle meta, if you will, the rock, paper, scissors of the meta, if you will. These decks are ramping up in popularity because of their strength against Cosmic Call. Cosmic Call has kind of pushed into being greedier and greedier and greedier. And whenever Cosmic Call says, fuck that, I'm going to start playing like Stellacorns again, I'm going to go back to playing more heal, I'm going to go to start playing Sump Monuments, they really get to hammer down on the strength of the win rate of those matchups. And so, it's kind of unfortunate in an event like this, it's kind of like the stakes are kind of high and you don't really know where you're going to land in terms of that triangle. And so I think that we just have good decks and we'll kind of hope for the best. So to move into the third point, these are kind of just deck building things that you need to consider as you get into this format. You have to be able to answer an early game unit that can win the game. If Zoe comes down on the board on turn 1 and flips on turn 6, you're going to lose. If Samira comes down on turn 2 and goes unchecked and flips on turn 4, you're going to lose. If Aphelios comes down, he gets to untap and starts dropping moon weapons, you're going to lose. And so it's not to say that your opponent can't play Aphelios, get a moon weapon, and use it. You have to have some kind of answer to just get him off the board at some point. You can't let your opponent just fucking run hog wild with a Zoe and let her flip and not even have to chase the Cosmic Call theme. You have to have some kind of early game answer to these things, whether or not that's challengers like we're playing, having things like Mystic Shots, Aftershocks, Quietus, whatever. You have to have some kind of dedicated way in your deck to answer one of these early game units, and it better be more than just like 3 cards. And so I think that's one of the keys to the format. Last but not least, if you are a control deck enjoyer, your control deck has to be faster than Cosmic Call. You can't be in this spot to where you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to play Karma and make it to turn 10. No, you're not making it to turn 10. You're not putting enough pressure on your opponent before they can Cosmic Call. If you're like, ooh, I'm going to play Nora today and Nora Vagar and kill our opponents with these darkness things to the dome on like turn 10. No, you're not. You're going to just completely lose to Cosmic Call. And so you just have to be a faster deck than Cosmic Call. There is a hard wall at the very end of the control decks of this format to where Cosmic Call is that wall. And if you're slower than Cosmic Call, you are doing something wrong. And so we're not playing control decks. It doesn't really affect us. I think it will affect us in the sense that we're probably not going to see a lot of like Anivia control or whatever random bullshit like that always turns up. But you need to keep that in mind if you're playing control decks. And so that is the kind of like global thing I think is going on in this meta. In terms of our deck lists themselves, I have another screen here to kind of talk about our decks before I actually pull them up. And so I think at least over the course of the latter meta over the past few days, which I think will also highly translate into this Mastering Runeterra event. There's a lot of just hardcore ladder grinders and tournament players in this event. The rise of the aggro decks is something that's really started to happen, and I think it's definitely going to have influence in here. And so our matchups against Pirates and Draven Sion are not spectacular. I've made some adjustments to our deck lists to get a little bit more of an edge in those matchups, but I will say that they're probably 45% favor in the opponent, but it's one of these things to where they're like in that 45 to 50% win rate range. So they're a 50 to 55% favorite, and not just like something blowing us out of the water like 80-20. And so I think it's fine against the good aggro decks, those being Pirates and Draven Sion. The bad aggro decks, we are actually just favored against. And so if you're playing things like Poppy Ziggs, we're going to be favored. If you're playing Annie Jhin, we're going to be favored. If you're playing Elusives, we're going to be favored. We can kind of come in and handle all of that stuff. But we have made those edits kind of with Draven Sion in mind. Up next, I expect the Cosmic Call decks to be a little bit slower. And so I feel like the way the Cosmic Call decks have kind of cycled in this meta is at first, they were just playing like infinite life gain, infinite heal, infinite kind of board stall. In an effect to just kind of stop the opposing deck from what they're doing. And then you're like, yeah, if we get to turn 7, I'm going to cast Cosmic Call and then just win the game on turn 8. That was how they were all built. And then as the meta kind of developed and evolved, they figured out to where they could start to cut some of the cards. They're not playing the full 3 copies of Star Shaping. They may or may not be playing the Fangs. They may or may not be playing the 1/4 Stellacorn. And so they've really started to kind of cut back on the kind of life gain and the defensive measures as the format slowed down to kind of compensate for the Cosmic Call deck. And now I think they're going to shift a little bit back more towards the anti-aggro. And so I don't think they're going to go all in, right? I don't think that they're just going to be going back to like 3 copies of the Fangs, 3 copies of Star Shaping, 3 copies of Stellacorn, 3 copies of Gain 2 Health cycle thing. But I think that to where you might find the space to play like an extra invoke card, right? You might have a celestial trifecta in your deck and additional pieces of slowness. I think some of that stuff is going to get cut out to kind of combat aggro, and I think that that's going to be a little bit of a favor for us. And so I don't think those are going to be massive changes. I think it's just going to help us a little bit about Cosmic Call. Last but not least, we want to be banning out concurrent timelines. If we don't play against concurrent timelines, great, but that is the matchup that is going to give us the absolute most problems across the board. And so if we have to play against triple concurrent timelines, we'll ban out the Trundle version. If we go against a singular concurrent timeline lineup, then I think we're just kind of fine banning out the Trundle version as well. And the thing that I kind of feel like we should be bringing to this event, and the lineup that kind of worries me the most, is if you bring Pirates, if you bring Draven Sion, and then you bring Jack's timelines. That's the kind of aggro lineup that could be running around that gives me the most worry. And in the event that turns up, it's like I would really like to be able to just ban out Draven Sion or ban out Pirates, but I think we're stuck banning the concurrent timelines deck and then having those slightly bad matchups against the aggro. And so we'll see. People in these events tend to not like to play aggro decks, and so maybe they won't just turn up as much, but that's the kind of cycle thing that I think we're going to run into. And so, to pull the decks up themselves, first and foremost we have, and I took that personally, I was bitching in our last video that I had a Vayne Jarvan deck that I was really happy with, and like 4 people watched the video, and so it just reminded me of going off with like the Michael Jordan meme, as to where if you saw the Last Dance documentary, someone does like a minor slight to Michael Jordan, and he just goes, "Oh, I took that personally," and then he just goes super beast mode in the next game. That's what I was kind of feeling like with this, and so I have made quite a few edits to this since that Vayne Jarvan list was running around. I just don't feel spectacular about running too much of the top end package with the amount of Draven Sion running around, and so we've really pushed the curve down, and we've started to include the Mageseeker Jr. as well, but a lot of the kind of flavor is still within this deck. The Vaynes are still here. We still have one Cataclysm. They still combo with Yordle Ranger and Balin and Anaka, and I'm all around still pretty happy with how this deck plays out. One of you more astute viewers may have noticed in the space of our unit column there are the War Chefs. The War Chefs are our addition to help combat against the aggro decks of the format. As we kind of looked for ways to get a better matchup against Jinx Kennen in the previous meta, to where it's just a lot of 2-1s running around, and if you can 2-for-1 one of those 2-1s in the early game, it just does wonders in terms of buying you the time you need to get up and online. And that's what we're looking to get out of the War Chefs in these style of matchups. It also helps that the War Chefs is just incredibly strong in a deck sporting 6 challengers in the early game. And so you can find yourselves in these spots to where you can say shut down an opposing 2-1, whether or not that's like Zonite Urchin or something, whatever, and then still have the War Chefs around to support the likes of your Petricite Hounds and your Broadwings and your Fleet Feather Trackers and keep those stats up and running around. He's a kind of very interesting unit in these style of decks, and he is our odd tech choice of the day. Up next, this is a deck that, it's a control deck, right? It's got Ionia in it, so that makes it a control deck. I initially called this Galli Ionia, right? So it's like Ionia and Galio all pushed together, but this is another one as to where, you know, we have this same core of Demacia cards. We have the 6 challengers. We have all of the formidables. But when you start to look towards your other factions, you do start to see things like Twin Disciplines. Twin Disciplines is a fantastic combat trick. It just does a ton of what you really want in terms of leveling up a formidable's health and getting kind of +3/+3 for 2 points of mana. A very good deal. And then Lulu with her heal and big strength growing also works wonders in this format. And so we're, you know, kind of coming into these spaces to where we're playing both Twin Disciplines and Lulu. That makes me feel like this is probably the space for Fiora, as opposed to playing like Fiora Galio as we typically see more commonly on the ladder. And so I think we have a lot of good tools that can really provide some of these OTKs with the Fiora, given that we have a lot of ways to heal her and keep her running around on board. Very powerful stuff there. Again, have the couple copies of War Chefs running around in this list, and then the Mageseeker Juniors to help stop against the spell-based decks. Last but not least, we have Poppy Taric. This is a deck, may have been like the first deck we actually touched on this season, and trying to use Poppy and Balin and then the rallies, so you get a bunch of extra attacks with your Balin. The thing that I really found in playing this is that just Tyari is fucking bonkers in terms of these formidable units. He's essentially supporting a unit to a +2/+2, and that feels pretty fantastic whenever you're doing that. And then these support cards with Mountain Sojourners really kind of pop off in this format. There's not a ton of big just like removal spells, like Vengeances aren't really running around, and so it can be fairly tough to remove a Mountain Sojourners. And we're kind of just doing a lot of like this dick measuring contest in this format, to where you're saying, oh, you're playing Cosmic Call, you're just going to sit around and try and do a really big and powerful thing and not try to interact. And you're like, well, I can do a big and powerful thing just a little bit faster, right? And so if we have one of these earlier game build up kind of phases to where we get a unit and a Tyari and a Sojourners, and we get a giant attack in, and then we rally on the opponent's turn and get another giant attack, and then come back to our turn and close out the game, it's just very, very possible with the limited amount of interaction in this format to really kind of pop off with these strategies. And so those are the decks that we're doing battle with today, but you know what happens before the battles begin. We got to go and pay that pay-to-win price. And so, across all of our decks, we're playing Balin, and so Balin most certainly needs to get this upgrade treatment, and that gets us pretty close to being in a good space. And so, the entirety of our Galli Ionia deck, all premium, our champions locked and loaded with those skins, with the Star Guardian and the Pool Party, feels pretty good. Going over to the other Pool Party deck, we have the Pool Party skins and the Battle Academias ready to go. This deck also completely premium. It feels pretty good. Now, I think with this Galio deck, we may have just gotten everything premium since we just leveled up the Balin, which we did. Good. Oh no, Yordle Ranger needs it. Uh-oh. And Galio? All right, well, this is tough. Like, I'm going to do the Yordle Ranger. In these bigger events, I like to hit like one thing in each deck, but I feel like we've only done 2 upgrades, and so we need to get a third one. And so this is tough. Do we want to premium Galio, or do we want to get one of these skins? Like, I kind of like the Justicar skin. I kind of like turning Galio. Fuck it. You know what? Let's do it both. I'm going to go with the Justicar skins. If you're not familiar with how these things work, I get kind of scared looking at this stuff, you know? And these Infernal skins tend to be on, like, the scarier side of things. Look at that. He's like some kind of big dragon thing coming out of the mountain. That has me a little scared. I think I like the Justicar thing a little better. He's born of divine light, looks like a kind of dragon flying around and shit. Much happier. So let's get that one locked and loaded. The pay-to-win price has been paid. I'm ready to go 0 and 2. Let's jump on into battle. Okay, round 1 about to begin. Gonna go up against Lech55. Has an interesting lineup with Jax Vi timelines. Jayce Lux. Jayce Lux is just an actual nightmare for all the stuff that we're trying to do. That's going to be the one that we end up banning. And then the Seraphine Jack deck out here at the end. Hopefully we can manage against the Sump Monument back alley bar deck with the usage of our spell costy things, right? If you make their spells cost 3, then maybe they aren't able to come out and pop off. But the Jax Vi list looks extremely straightforward. The 2 flame choppers and the flex spots, nothing too crazy there. And then I'm not super familiar with what actually happens in a Seraphine Jack list, but I'll assume that this is pretty straightforward. It does have a couple of copies of Cosmic Rift, which we're typically terrified of, but I don't think that that's going to be a problem today with our lineup. And so let's go ahead and try and jump on in. All right, so jumping on in, and I took that personally. Gallionia jumping up in the pool party. Oof. Let's see what happens. Doing a little bit of battling. And so Jayce Lux, of course, we're taking this one right out. Akshan Samira? Is that? That's a different deck. Hang on. All right, I don't know what's up there. I went and I've pulled up the deck list thing. Like it says, where you at? Akshan Samira on the thing, but then it loads up back alley bar deck or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I just clicked the wrong one. At any rate, we're into action now, into battle. Get this Petricite Hound on board. Recover a little bit. See what happens. Misclicks are tough, man. Who knew life could be so hard? But the curve here coming together pretty reasonably. We'll have to take this Jax hit right from the start, but immediately after this, all of our curve is going to start to pop off. Going to add in the Petricite Hound here. Ooh, I'm gonna add in the Petricite Broadwing here. Slight change of plans. Let's see if we can't get a nice aggro round in here, huh? I'm all about the aggros, you know. And so we'll boost the Petricite Broadwing if that's what it comes down to here. If he has a blowback or a get excited to hit the unit, kind of is what it is. That's a humongous investment for him to have to make. But if he doesn't have a trick, or if he just has a Mystic Shot, then we're still able to kind of come in and win this combat. A little bit painful having the Pot of Pain hit on the Castaway, but I think we still want to just bring in the squad. Maybe not. I mean, his Mystic Shots are no good here. He doesn't play combat tricks. All right, there we go. Jax stays at home. Doesn't get any of those sweet level up bonuses from the attack coming in here. Hopefully he just has to stay back on the defensive. So this isn't a matchup to where Mageseeker Jr. is going to be some kind of spectacle. You know, he doesn't do a ton in this space. Not really the matchup he's looking for, but do we want to actually just bank through this turn? Let's just wait and see. I don't think taking a 3-bank's terrible here.
Weapon roulette.
Let's see if we actually, I mean, if we want to block Guy, let's just go big. I think we want to block here. Give an ally 2, give Jax -2. If something goes wrong with this, I don't want to be losing out on the Petricite Hound. And then we could come in with the Junior next turn. It's like, it's just very easy to have a burn spell here, and getting, you know, super interactive with our Formidables can be kind of a pain, but having the Jax spell come in, pretty reasonable, I think. And he's at 10 of 16. Might as well just build out board, right? Get Durandi Sculptor in here, get the Junior in. It's always kind of interesting with these Juniors in the sense that if he plays like a 3-cost unit here, then you just know he can't play any more spells the remainder of the combat. And so very powerful in that sense if it's able to come together. Alright, got my combat ready friends ready to combat. So with this, the downside with this is like we're just not going to get a good block in front of Jax. I don't worry too much about the clockling, but it is a reasonable takedown here. Like the question is, do we want to say boost a unit with the War Chefs to just make it stronger? So say like boost our Durandi Sculptor, and I think that that's kind of the space we're in here. So we can take an attack like this. He has to, you know, block with the clockling is just going to trade out anywhere anyways. And then the Jax we can't really manage, but if Jax wants to trade, he at least has, you know, he has to move up in the power levels. He doesn't just get the free block on the Durandi Sculptor. We got our freshly premiumed Galio ready to battle. Looking good, feeling good. Let's see what we can do. We can come down 2 turns from now. Don't exactly have a formidable crew on the board, but hopefully we're kind of just far enough ahead for our opponent to really recover here.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
Looks like we're gonna fall to 6 off of this attack. That sucks. I mean, that's a little bit too dangerous to me. I think if we were gonna fall to 7, I would be okay with it. Falling to 6 is a little bit too much. So I think we just block with the Mageseeker. Just get this, try and get this unit off of the board. So we know we can't blow back here. That would have been the frightening spell. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we should have, well, it's a tough spot. We could have blocked with the Durandi Sculptor. Like it's like as we're rolling into this next turn and looking at the things that could go wrong. Like we could have been just like a little bit closer in terms of damage, but I think in this space he's at least going to have to block Galio with Jax. And then whatever unit he follows up here, we could just hook with the Fleet Feather Tracker. So hopefully we're okay with that sense. We did just pick up the Shield of Durandi, which would have been quite nice to throw down in front of that Petricite Hound that we had, but we lost our unit there.
Needs a finishing touch.
Okay, we can't let Vi survive. If Vi comes in and gets her strike and then she gets the level up off of Jax, we're definitely going to be having problems there. We got to kill the Vi. We'll put the shield onto Galio. He should be getting the kill through Vi. And then we'll still have Galio on board should we need to use him next turn. Very small friend. Falling quite far behind here. Just need that little bit of something. I think we're again stuck blocking Jax. Well, I mean, we're gonna get lethaled if we don't block, so let's just slam as much health in front of him as we can. No burn spells coming through though. That's at least a perk. It feels like we're probably dead here. Well, if he just has stone nothing, we can do it, right? I'm not certain what that's gonna look like, but if he had the nothing, could have gotten through. GG. Let me pull up this Action Samira deck real quick. That was confusing. I'm not sure who we clicked on that made Jack Seraphine. Oh, it was one line up above. But let's take a look at this Akshan Samira deck. The crazy things in here, I guess Chamber of Renewal's not super crazy, has Chronomancers, nothing too crazy in that sense. 3 Rite of Negations, 3 Quicksands as the annoying cards here. Looks pretty straightforward to me. Alright, let's run it back. We gotta show them we mean business. We can't just have the we can't just have the Freylord deck losing over and over again. Let's see, reasonable enough start here. Lots of early interaction for an Akshan or a Samira. And it is always kind of nice having these Fleet Feather Tracker into Darkened Spear style hands. So if opponent, banks on the first turn, plays Samira on the second turn, and then looks to hook in your unit, they don't have the ability to just get the kill with Samira. But no reason to trade here early. This is not a particularly high-valued unit in the Bakai, and we have lots of powerful units on this board that can potentially get shutdowns here. So I'm just going to pass. If he wants to attack with Akshan, I'll happily trade in the Sharp Sight for it. And then, not too unexpected with the no block here, but it leaves us in a space to where we can now just use that spell mana on something else.
Flavor, it's spice. Hand to the face.
So this should be safe. Now, if he has a Quicksand, we're not going to get the kill onto Akshan, but it'll just prevent, our unit from actually dying. And then now we're getting to bank in a little bit more. Seems good. Seems reasonable. We should never be losing our unit to Akshan there is what I was trying to get at.
We live in hollow times.
Smell that? A fight's a cooking.
Yeah, this is very 2020. Getting all these war chefs on the board. It's wild. We haven't had this kind of nonsense in a while.
Batter him. Hand to the face.
It's a very straightforward attack. If he wants to get a trade, it's going to have to be the ambassador onto something like Petricite Hound. I'd really like to be kind of sharp sighting out of this turn if we can. Like a champion strength next turn does feel pretty good. Maybe it's too greedy though. It's just like we don't really have a ton that we're doing here. So if we can continue to just take over this board, I think we feel pretty safe. Like it's like he's gonna have the big champion in his hand right now. Looks like it was Akshan instead of Samira. That feels like a win for us. But it's like if he really has to Rite of Negation this champion's strength, that can't feel like a win. So it's not unreasonable to think that he would have it, but it does take the mana away.
This is justice. You cannot run from absolution.
Let's continue trying to get big next turn, I guess. No Mageseekers though. Can't come in and stop all these combos from popping off. So we really need Galio to be doing the work next turn.
Righteously reclaiming.
You got the fresh skins, Galio. You got to do the work. That's fine. Like we're looking to set this up to where we're just hooking Akshan out of combat. The other option we do have is to play the Yordle Ranger and then put a Darkened Spear on it, but that strikes me as just a little bit too small.
How long was I out for?
Cool eye badge.
You like it? I mean, shut up and fight.
Let's see, where are we going with
Feel
this?
the sizzle.
This way, Akshan out of combat. So Galio's gonna fall to 26, so he'll go up to 29 off of the buffs, and then the Vagabond should only be dealing 3, ideally. So at the end of this combat, we should still have 25, right? Probably math that wrong. Pretty typical bust level work here, but -4 and -3 is 7. That should get us to exactly 25. Look at that bust mathematics. Getting better at it as time goes on, huh? And so hopefully we don't get OTK'd next turn. I mean, with the Galio flip, we should be able to at least jump in front of this a little bit and get an attack back in. But, you know, things are always losable. This ability he has isn't a keyword, so you can't quicksand away this rally ability.
All of this is ours.
Alright, the gates are open, my friend. The cards are on the table. You can see everything that's going on. Can we do it from here?
In and out.
All the health on these war chefs, man. wanna
This is justice.
continue on that party. Interesting. Can he ever just kill us with action?
Taste the glory!
It's kind of scary. Probably should have mathed that a little bit harder, in the sense that if we get popped by a like absolver there, you know, there's always a chance something really weird is going to go down. Not weird enough though. GG. On to game 3. We gotta win with the butthurt feelings deck, and so we at least have that going for us at the end of the day. You can't say that the deck didn't have it going on. It at least got one victory, right? It at least got one victory. What do we see? Not the most impressive of starts. I want to hang on to this War Chef just to kind of ensure that we have something on curve, but I'd prefer to find another kind of interactive unit in the early game, a bird or a Broadwing. All the Tyaris ready to party. Kai comes in as well. I'm curious, like, it's one of these weird spots where I'd like to get the 2 damage in on the first turn if we could, but it's like if you know, he has like the free kill on the second turn with Samira. If he has no play, then it just kind of sucks. So I'm not entirely certain the angle to take there. Alright, so reasonable combat crew assembled.
Whatever the journey brings, I welcome it.
See if we can't win some of these things. As it stands, we can send a 5 power into Bakai, 2 power into the other Bakai. I don't think I want to just hang out with the Fleet Feather Tracker. I'm looking more along the lines of one of these.
Take my hand.
And then it's like if he has a quicksand, it's kind of whatever. He gets to keep his dudes, but we're not losing out on any of our big plays here. And now we're just like lining up for an absolute monster of a turn 5. If we get to go support into Sojourners, it can just super pop off here.
I excel at making heads turn and roll.
So Samira gets the giant buff. I think like we have to play a card, right? We can't just let him pass. Let's add a Broadwing just in case. You can still kind of like represent combat tricks here, but holy shit. I'll gladly accept that. Let's pick up the War Chef, and we'll Sojourner next turn. Very surprising. Why would he no hook here? Is he wanting to potentially use a grappling hook this turn? So you say use the flare this turn to grappling hook down a unit, but you'd be getting a flare back anyways. Very odd. So I think this is okay. We missed out on on a support this way, so we do miss out on quite a bit of stats, but you know, he just doesn't get that free run in with the Samira.
Keep going.
Feel the sizzle!
You know, it's just 20. It's just a straight lethal. I'm a little concerned with quicksand. So let's at least just make him do the work here. We still have this golden Aegis to play next turn. Oh boy. That feels like it's pretty good for us. He does have a ton of Rite of Negations in this deck, so you know, there's no guarantees this Aegis hits next turn. But as soon as it does, we should be in pretty good shape. It's only got 2 cards in hand.
This should be fun.
Here comes the flares. Still wild from last turn. I haven't played a ton of Akshan Samira. It's like I get the idea of what's happening just by, you know, kind of playing against the match, but I'm not entirely certain what that kind of angle would be because of. Okay. I'm not certain how we lose this next turn. This open attack has to just be enough, right? Just need to find 2 damage somewhere. I'm still gonna boost up this Broadwing. I think that it.
Can't stop now.
Batter him!
This is just so much for him to have to answer.
Everyone okay?
That is it. GG. Victory achieved. On to the next battles. All right, round 2 up against Yangzera. This is another set. He's got Jax Vi in here as the Timelines deck, kind of is what it is. Zoe Diana, we'll play against if we have to. This is a much lower to the ground version of Zoe Diana, if you will. So I think that, you know, without as much late game prowess, no, I shouldn't even really say that. It's got the Scryer, Moondreamer, and Star Shaping. But I would much rather play against Zoe Diana than play against Jax Vi. And then there's the Samira Seraphine deck that hopefully we can pick on a little bit, just like in that previous round up against the Akshan Samira deck. And so I don't think there's too much crazy in here. Let me see. The 1 Blood for Blood, 2 Mystic Shots, no AoEs running through this one. Okay. So, all right. I think we're good to go. Good to note the Quietus coming out of the Shadow Isles deck, along with the 2 copies of Pale Cascade for the interactivity. So, all right, let's jump on in. I think I was getting some messages in here. Let's see. All right. GLHF. Very important to say. Jump on in that best of 3. Okay. Zoe Diana. You see these cosmic younglings coming into the mix, you know? The aggro times rolling through. But the Galio deck, the pool party deck, the other Galio deck, really just one Galio deck, but why has nobody used the word Gallia before? Why do we have to be the first ones to do that? Why does that have to be the way that it is? All right, though. Let's see who we get to play. I'm very curious who gets to stay up in this one. These are, again, like some of these matchups to where, you know, the opponent doesn't have great ways to answer things out of the Poppyteric deck. You know, there's a bunch of spot removal from Seraphine Samira, sure, but I was going to say, it strikes me as the one that should be the biggest pain point for the opponent, and that it can be kind of interesting in terms of what we can do with the denies coming out of the Vayne deck, or out of the Lulu deck. I'm still just going to start off with this Freylord deck because you all pissed me off, but that's the one we're going to take to battle the most. All right, up against Seraphine Samira. Let's see how it is. And so, as far as this early start goes, I'm just going to mulligan pretty hard and look for the Mageseeker Jr. Managed to find it with a pretty straightforward curve, and so hopefully he can come down for some nasties on the turn 3. The thing that gets kind of interesting is, You know, if we ever want to just kind of stall a little bit and try and get the Durandi Sculptor to survive, because having a Mageseeker Jr. with 4 health is a pretty big deal in terms of the opposing deck not being able to remove it. It doesn't die to Aftershock or get excited at that point. And so, kind of curious if we can't pull something off that way. Let's take this a little bit slower. It's interesting we just hit the Aegis. Like, I think we can get the Mageseeker Jr. down, and then if we get to load him up with Aegis, that's such a monster deal. Oh, he's got the little sidestep, huh? Alright. Well, that's a pain in the ass. You aren't supposed to have the 2-for-1 there. But we can still move forward. Again, our units are a little bit more survivable now. We did take a big chunk out of his mana there, though, so that's always always a nice little safety net. But I'm going to try and drop the Sculptor. If he doesn't respond, then I'm just going to immediately drop the Aegis. Then with the Aegis down, we'll look to get the Broadwing in. I think this still stands. We're going to be summoning in quite a bit of health over the next few turns. It didn't soak onto our tough unit. That's the way that those flash bomb traps are supposed to work. What a bummer, dude.
Where's my hammer?
Combat time. So yeah, 4 spells, bringing in Samira. Okay. We should be popping off over the course of the next turn here, getting the Troll Chant for protection here, and then Galio coming down 2 turns from now. I dig it. I dig it. What is this? I can't take damage or die this round. All right, whatever. I don't know what else you're supposed to say in that situation when the Samira can't die, but
I've come a long way from a flying stone bird.
it's like, do we want to add in a Fleet Feather Tracker at any point? Like, as it stands, the Fleet Feather Tracker is the only thing out here that will actually die to these units, and so it's kind of an interesting option. Let's just hold on to it for the moment. Like, it would be nice to get it on board, but I don't think it's, at the end of the day, that big of a deal. He's most certainly attacking at this point, right? He's got the flare loaded up. There's not a ton of reason to not attack here.
No problem.
Give the Sculptor the 2 health, give the Samira the -2 attack so all of our units get to survive. Yay for you. Now we can bring in the Fleet Feather Tracker and then next turn drop Galio.
Now that's a bit better.
Alright, get them stats, boys. That's pretty fun, right?
Give me a day
You're
to
definitely
have
having
2.
fun now. Definitely having fun now. Welcome to my mountain of stats, friends. So let's see. Let's get these attacks in where we can. You in front of thing. We are going to lose out on quite a bit of health here in terms of
Steady hands.
losing blockers for Galio, but I think we're fine. He has to do something here with his Samira as a different block, or he's just going to get killed.
Is this your best?
Something coming in. What's he doing for 0 mana?
What a shame.
Doing something for the zeros.
Is this your best? Make this interesting.
It's just
for
sitting
me.
right here, right in the middle of the screen. I'm curious now. He already played his card off of Encore. That was the Lamb's Respite.
I'm made of petricite, not patience.
Made of petricite, not patience. You tell him, Galio. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Gotta find out at some point, huh? Ravenous Flock. Okay. What's that called? 0. Oh, he drum soloed it. Sure. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this still feels like a pretty good board. Ready? What do we got in terms of stats? Our Galio's still gonna flip. We can add in Vayne next turn. I'm not certain the amount of crazy shenanigan he's able to do with these Plaza Guardians, but even if he adds 2 to the board, I think we're still feeling pretty decent. I like feeling decent. I don't know about you. I don't got any problems with it.
Those who kill innocents are no more than fiends.
Rip. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Nobody bringing respect to the Vayne Galio Freylord.
So who's next?
So what do we got up next? He left our Lulu deck up, right? He banned out the Poppyteric. That's the case. Fiora Lulu coming through. Excited. Excited to see what they can pull off. I think we want to go kind of a similar strategy as to where, we'll just mulligan pretty hard in the early game and look for our Mageseeker Juniors. Found 1. And so now that we have the 1, like, how deep do we want to go? Like, it's fairly okay to just, like, play this guy on turn 4. It's like I kind of want to have a combat trick to protect him with. Like, as far as the opponent goes, what did they have? Like, 2 disintegrates probably? That's pretty standard. 2 disintegrates and then 0... 0 of the Scorched Earth. Let's see what we can do. I don't know. I've really kind of found in my time that I really like just kind of slamming this guy, but it is what it is. Picked up Balin. He's pretty nice on curve, and so we'll see. No Samira from the opponent. That's pretty good. We have a lot of incentive to just run out Lulu now. So it's like if he wants to add something to the board, it's just going to get trucked. And then if he doesn't add anything to the board, he's going to get trucked. And so it's like he really needs a pirouette or some way to take this bird down. But I don't think I'm quite ready to... Ooh, scrap traption. I don't think I'm quite ready to risk the Junior in this space. It's a scary boy.
Making heads turn.
Having no combat tricks kind of sucks. And so what I think we're doing here is we're just going to be building into, like, trying to champion strength next turn. Like, if we want to get 3 mana worth of units on the board, we can still get out of this turn without taking any damage, or having our units take any damage. Let's see how that lines up. Right? I mean, his hooks with Samira aren't that great. If he has another burn spell, that's kind of annoying, but...
No problem.
Let's see. We'll just take the 6 off scrap traption here, though. Now Fiora. I mean, she's decent. I think we can bring it. It's just like as you get the opportunities to drop your Junior, it does like such a number in terms of what the opponent's able to do. I'm thinking like we can take another hit out of the scrap traption. We have this deny to protect our Junior, and then we can take over this board pretty well. And it should be tough for him to like burn us out. There is a bunch of burn in this deck, but I think we can pretty safely just take another hit from this scrap traption and not really care about it. And then what I think we're going to look to build up to is just come out here and make some pretty safe attacks, right? As far as this board goes, we can hook the scrap traption out of combat. We can hook Samira in with our Broadwing, try and hit for 6, and then on the next attack token, try and be in one of these spots to where try and be in one of these spots to where we can still hook this scrap traption out of combat and then get a good get a good hook taking him out, and then get a good champion strength after that. Nice deny though, felt good. Most certainly felt good. We can whimsy this guy. That's that was not something that was on my bingo card for the day. Dropping whimsies onto runaway scrap traps.
They would fall by my blade.
Or how often he follows up with a unit here. Did. Had the Seraphine. I think our plan here is still okay, right? We're losing the Mageseeker. There's nothing we can do about that. But now, does the champion strength angle really even do that much? I'm kind of leaning towards this, just blocking the scrap traption with Lulu, playing the other Lulu next turn, and then we can champion strength 2 turns from now. I think that's the way I want to go about it. Because we're still adding pretty high quality units to the board this turn. Throwbacks to 2020, my dudes. Getting Lulu on the board, using the Lulu with the challengers and stuff. 2020 all over again. Seraphine's pretty close to flipping. That is scary. The thing that I have kind of hopes for next turn is, if he doesn't Plaza Guardian combo us this turn, it's just having the Plaza Guardians at slow speed. Makes me wonder if we can't just like champion strength, and then he doesn't have the time to get enough units on the board. But 1 point of damage short here. A bit unfortunate. I had it kind of roll through my head a little slow. Oh no, we have Balin to hit for 5. So we do have a lethal on board here if he doesn't immediately kill our Fleet Feather Tracker. I was imagining 3, 4, and 4, but I forgot Balin is going to grow. He sees it. he says, Bust about to zing me here. See, this is what I mean for this upcoming turn. Like, he's gonna cast a spell, he's gonna flip his Seraphine, he's gonna add 1 Plaza Guardian. And then, once he's added the 1 Plaza Guardian, we have the chance to champion strength, and then he's gonna add a 2nd Plaza Guardian, and then after he adds the 2nd Plaza Guardian, we get the chance to attack. So, ooh. So we'll see how that angle comes out here. The Song Spinner, pretty scary. But I like this setup as much as you can like it in a spot to where to where your opponent's about to combo Seraphine. Right, so there's Plaza Guardian number 1. Now he's able to chain off a bunch of iterative improvements and blood for bloods and all that shit that you typically see, but we get to immediately attack as this next Plaza Guardian's going to hit the board. So we should hopefully be able to get a full clear and then his units suck. At least is the idea. But who knows what we're in for with the Song Spinner active. You never know what's gonna happen. Say, here's a bunch of stuns. You're welcome. You're welcome for all these stuns. just hoping these are like weird burn spells coming in and we can twin disciplines through whatever he's trying to do. One can dream. Because if whatever he does here fails, then we can just win the game, right? If he adds the third unit, there's a 0% chance we can win the game this turn. But if he does something weird with a spell that's not quite enough, we can fight through. We can classify that as something weird with a spell. No, he's got more cards? I mean, it might still be okay. Looks like a double ebb landing on our Balin. Alright, so we're fine, right? Famous last words. I think we're fine. I guess he still has 2 spells in hand. But alright, that was enough. GG. Well played. On to the next one. Alright, so round 3 is starting. We get our first triple aggro lineup. We're going to be up against Pirates, Jhin, and then, if it loads, Draven, Sion, Samira. And so I'm 100% leaving up Jhin. This is a deck I feel like we have the opportunity to get out in front of and win and beat, and that's fine. It comes down to whether or not you want to actually play against Pirates, which, the only width these decks really have at this point is Mirai Warden. Which is pretty decent, or if you want to come up and play against Draven Sion, which gives me a little bit more pause, right? They're very similar in terms of the amount of removal that they play, but the Draven Sion deck is able to get on the board just like a lot faster and wider, and B, it has these fearsomes and the Lost Soul flip thing, and then the Fallen Rider, which we have a fairly tough time blocking with our formidable units, and so we're going to look to take this Sion out. Play against Pirates and Jhin. All right, off we go. Gallionia, the pool party, and the deck that actually has Galio in it. Let's jump on in, see what we can do. So yeah, I feel at least better in the sense as we're facing these triple aggro lineups. I'm much happier to see Jhin be the third deck as opposed to the Jax Vi. And so again, we'll take out Draven Sion. We're hoping to, coin flip against Pirates, but then be pretty reasonably decent against Jhin, especially as we're in this space to where not a ton of people running around with like war chiefs in their deck, and so or war chefs, whatever they're called, and so that's just another unit that can really give us an edge in this match as your opponent's trying to attack at you with like a bunch of Legion saboteurs. Being able to jump out in front of those is pretty cool. And so let's see if we'll see if our war chef and strategy comes to fruition here in these games, and we can have our surprise technology do something a little bit special. I don't think there was a large number of people in the world today being like, "Oh, I'm going to see some war chefs in action." Welcome to Battles with Bust, everybody, where we only play the best of cards. All right, they left it up, so we're going to start off with Galio Vayne. You gotta show them. You gotta say, you gotta show me a little respect if you're gonna talk trash about my deck and not watch my video. So, all right, game 1 against Jhin. We just want the absolute cheapest draw that we can find, and so I'm gonna hang on to Durandi Sculptor. It's an absolute disaster if we don't have a 1, 2, or 3 for in the first set of turns. And so by keeping the Sculptor, it's just that little bit of insurance policy that we can get a unit on board early. Things are looking a little better with the Broadwing and the Junior turning around. The Junior doesn't actually, stop too much in this match. Where's Jhin at? He's only got a couple of spells, and they both cost they both cost 3 or more, and so not an actual ton we can do in that sense. But picked up a dude. Happily trade here if he wants to take it. We get the Saboteur off of the board, and we get to prevent a skill. So he doesn't take it. I'm not too surprised, but it's always nice to try and get that option out here. And then we're gonna just try and prevent literally every single point of damage we can. And so this isn't a horrible trade by any means, but I would happily just do what we can to stop the damage. If this game drags on, then we're gonna be okay.
Big mission.
So on turn 3 here, I just want to keep the curve going. And so we can't get 2 units on board this turn. I'm just going to add in the Mageseeker Jr. He does, you know, kind of womp the couple of spells in our hand, but that's okay. You know, we're probably not casting these in the short term anyways. So here, don't want to be trading. We just want to win combats, and so Mageseeker Jr. coming in is quite good. It's actually pretty painful for opponent here to have to slap the Boom Crew rookie for that damage, because now we can block the Boom Crew with the Durandi Sculptor and not actually lose our unit. And so starting to just push further and further and further ahead here. This is quite good. Is he Lotus trapping this turn? He is. That should land on our bird, right? Right. So we don't have any way to take Jhin off the board. We can block with the bird and it won't die in combat. And then on our next turn, we can look to take Jhin down with the Darkened Spear. But we'll see how this plays out. Again, I just want to get as many units on board as I can here. Getting Jhin off the board, while nice, isn't a big requirement for success on this turn.
Wow, that's a bit better.
What do we see? The Junior turns up. I'm on board. So I may not actually go with the Darkened Spear this turn. I like casting a spell if that's going to be a way for us to like not lose a Durandi Sculptor in combat. But I don't think we need to push that hard. I kind of like hanging on to the Troll Chant because it lets us. I'm not gonna give him a chance to play units if he's being slow here. I like it because it gives us a chance to prevent damage on the opponent's attack. Probably should have just attacked with the Durandi Sculptor. Like we're kind of done with the stats at this point. But I think this is probably an incoming Nox and Fervor. Right? He's gonna say, "Oh, I thought he was gonna say block a Junior and then Nox and Fervor into the unit in front of Jhin." Jhin number 2. Okay.
Let's get him, crew.
Jhin 0 on the Lotus Trap, 4 of 12 in terms of flipping. Not a particularly scary Jhin at this moment. But yeah, I probably should have attacked with the Sculptor last turn. It's a reasonable trade with the Demolitionist at this point. We're kind of done with harvesting stats, and so. Have y'all harvested any stats today? Is that what you were going out and about and doing? Harvesting some stats?
A little reinforcement at the seams.
Interesting pass. Like, I wonder if he just has like 2 Decimates and a Nox and Fervor in hand. Like, it feels like at this point you at least have to be attacking with the Demolitionist to activate some of these skills and try and get something happening with Jhin. So, I mean, that was a pretty tempting just pass for us, since, you know, if we're taking away the attack, we're taking away so many of his skills. But it's just like if we pick up one of our larger units next turn, we're in such a happy space, and then not being able to fill out the board's kind of meh. So, right, he's getting to do a similar thing now to where he can just attack with the Stage Hand and activate some of these abilities. But this attack with Jhin is interesting. I was going to say, it's like we can block Jhin and then try to
Need repairs?
hook him in next turn, right? So we can say, come in, give our bird +2 health, give Jhin the -2. Losing our Durandi Sculptor, which is kind of sad, but our tracker is just going to eat this 2 damage from Jhin, and now we can hook next turn. Try and get him off the board. he's the only thing that like really scares me. You can start getting into these weird spots to where Jhin flips and it's like, ooh, cool, I hit a Raven Bloom Tome and a Decimate. Now I'm just nugging you for 12 out of nowhere. You know, there's just not a ton that we can actually do about it. And so, you know, it leaves me a little bit worried in that sense.
I will give them a show to remember.
All right, here come the Decimates. Real scary, real scary. So it's like if he has a Nox and Fervor and then a way to flip Jhin or something, it's a little intimidating. Gotta count on this champion strength next turn to end it for us. That's why we left our junior back. I don't really want to trade the junior for the demolitionist and then lose out on the damage from this champion strength. And Bane. Alright, well, we're blocking. So, I mean, if he's got a Decimate and a Nox and Fervor, then we're dead to that. That's a 100% certainty there. Now we're pretty safe from Decimates.
Those who kill innocents are no more than fiends.
So let's see what we can do. Scary stuff, though. It's just Decimate costs 6, and so he can't play, really play any more cards if that's what he's going to be coming at us with. Gotta squeeze those cheeks, though. It's always scary out here against these burn decks, you know. You're never as safe as you want to be. Is the Decimate rolling through? It is. Takes us to 3. I think we're okay now. He's only got 1 mana. He needs a 1 mana unit to get a block in for this turn, and then he just can't attack. So pretty cool. Oof. Get that heart rate up a little bit, you know.
Expertly done. Now to
All
roll
right,
out
so
the
game
next
1
phase.
lifted off of Annie Jhin. Took that one personally, you know. Took it personally. Now we can come in with Poppy Tarek. Poppy Tarek's one of these decks to where I was kind of interested in like adding in a life gain card. You know, I played a little bit too much Sump Monument in the days leading up to this, and I was like, I just want to get a Sparkle Fly, or I want to get the 1 cost empowered lifesteal guy, but I just couldn't quite bring myself to pull the trigger on that nonsense, and so it just didn't do it. So here we'll hang on to War Chefs. He's our premier early game play. We'll see if we can't find our better ones. Any of the 1-drops, Petricite Hound, or the Bird would have been fine. And then also Petricite Birds are good as well, since they can 2 for 1 against these units.
Like the stink of blood and sweat. What's that you got there?
All right. I thought we were playing against Annie Jhin. I'm still okay with how that turn went, but I thought we were playing against a different deck here.
Reporting in. Okay, ready.
Taste the glory!
Okay, we'll just take the dude off the board. It's like we're gonna struggle to build up to these combat tricks, and so I think that's, you know, kind of an okay path. Just trading for the rear guard there. No real reason to just sit around and stockpile these units, though. And if he wants to trade for Misfortune, that's fine. I assume he's just going to take the 3 on this turn. So if we can't get Balin on board. Balin's not a particularly strong blocker out here against the love tap from Misfortune. Right, we need him to add a 2-power unit to the board if we want to block with Balin. So it's in. We're about to get trucked. There's just nothing we can do with this turn. Curious if he attacks with Misfortune.
Time for violence.
Like that was one of the kind of things with pirates in days of old is you really had to be getting these attacks in with misfortune, and a lot of people would just miss out on this. And so opponent's bringing it. So this is not my first rodeo. So we'll fall to 10, get to keep Balin on board, remove the misfortune. Now, the thing that may be our kind of saving grace in this matter is we get to add the Mountain Sojourners next turn. And so it gets to boost in health. And so we can get our Balin up to 4. He's not playing Make It Rains, he is playing Pirouettes. And so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But now we just had a really interesting draw on the War Chefs in that we can get our Balin up to 3, and then he's not going to have any really good blockers here. I think I'm okay with this. If we can develop an attack here to where we get to start taking his units off the board without losing any of ours,
Deal me in.
that's a pretty big deal. Twisted Fate's fucking annoying, though. Get out of here, Steve. Get out of here.
Something for all of you.
But this is definitely, in the face of Twisted Fate, this definitely works out better. Given that, you know, if we added the Sojourners and he gold carded us, we would be hurting pretty hard.
Bluffing.
Interesting block with Twisted Fate. I would assume he just has another Twisted Fate if that's the play he's gonna make. Like, why would you throw away Twisted Fate in place of a Shell Shocker since the quick attack is so valuable against these formidable blockers? I would just assume he's got another one. I guess Pirouette's on the table. It's just kind of expensive to be pirouetting next turn. But that is a good one to deal, get a stun and a damage. So the bummer for us in this space is we don't have a lot of choice in what we can do. We can only get 1 unit down for the turn. I think I'm just going to go War Chefs. And then if he does add in Twisted Fate or something, we can still Golden Aegis this turn and get a good block. There's the red card. Okay.
I'm a people person.
We're kind of limited in our strengths here, and so at least the Balin gets to be a good blocker now. Potentially get a good crack in on the way back. I think we're just dead like 95% of the time here, but adding Mountain Sojourners, you know, I don't feel like gives us a better advantage than adding in the Balin. Interesting.
Looks like trouble. Can you stomach
All
this?
right, fall to 1. We don't have a lot of good choices in our deck here. So I'm not certain who we hope we're top decking. I guess that's a pretty perfect one in the bird. There's not,
No breaks till the
you know,
next
a
flip.
lot of cards I really want to see the opponent hit here, but being able to clear out some board,
Brace yourselves.
it's not nothing.
Bountiful nosy eye.
All right. You can see our deck list and know we don't have anything here. It's just like, as he picks up a unit, we play it and we die. But GG. That's a tough one. Those Twisted Fates were strong. But all right. Back to the matchup that we were hoping we can take down into the Annie Jhin again. Let's see what we can do. What do we got? A Petricite Hound, definitely keeping. The Tyari is like little interesting given that we're on the even attacks here and it has that opportunity to boost the Hound, but I'm really on board with just like trading away the Hound on the first turn if it gets offered up. Now the mulligan here was a bit of an issue. You know, we don't really want to be going tall against Annie Jhin, That's the way they get you, right? Is if you try to make one big super unit and then they're like, oh, cool, they have 100 stuns. And so we're really trying our best to get width on these boards. And the draw we picked up doesn't really play to that theme. Opponent 3 kept as well, a little scary. My Broadwing makes me feel safer.
Explosives primed. They'll never see it boom.
Alright, might as well just jump in. Don't want him getting these extra skills and stuff. I think we should be safe enough with our Broadwing on this upcoming turn. And then if we can draw, you know, a unit across the next couple of turns, I think we're a lot safer.
My first big mission.
Okay. So let's see. This is going to be like the critical turn. If we don't draw a unit and he has the stage hand, we just lose the game. But if he just plays like normal dudes, then we might have a chance. This could be it. That just kind of is what it is against Annie Jhin. If he plays the stage hand and hits us for 7, we're probably just dead.
I have my orders.
But we can try and fight back. He didn't have any stuns here, which was very, very critical for us. Stage hand costs 3, and then the bird has Daybreak. Holy shit, and he just doesn't attack. What the fuck?
All right, team.
Wow.
Adventure time.
I don't know what else to say about that turn. If he's playing like defensive stage hands are here, then I'm just super, super happy. Really curious what the opposing hand looks like to where they don't make that attack.
I never miss. Ready, Hammer? We got this.
All right, let's send in the squad. The Boom Crew Rookie, definitely the stronger of the units on board. And now we're in this space with our challengers to where, you know, we can play a War Chef's next turn and then rally, which gives us a lot of potential in terms of just removing his units from the board. We'll see how it plays out. Like, it's ultimately probably just safer to be dropping the War Chefs, seeing what he does, and then dropping in Petricite Hound as well. You know, if we get to play a Shield of Durandi this turn or something, that can be pretty powerful. It's just like, it's ultimately pretty scary if we rally and then he has a stage hand. But regardless of that kind of thought process, we have 6 mana, so we can still add in the Petricite Hound regardless of whether or not he plays something here.
I will make this right.
This way.
He was only playing... Where's his Annie deck? Nox and Fervor and Decimate. I'm curious how involved we can get with this Annie. I really want to come in and just block all of these units.
Finger on the trigger.
And we have just like so much
Oh,
defensive
we're taking a
stuff
break.
in
Can I
hand.
practice a joke? Friendship's like a hammer. The feelings.
Taking 9, annihilating his board after this. Shouldn't have to worry about too much, and then we have a rally play next turn. I dig it. I think we're in very strong shape right now. Incoming Nox and Fervor. That's literally the only card it can be. Right? We know the spells in his deck. That's all it is. And so if he's gonna like Fervor away the Saboteur, I can definitely see us wanting to protect the unit, but he sent it to face. It's gonna drop us to 7. He has Tibbers and 1 card. Okay. Okay, I tell you. Attack time.
I'm attacking.
Hand to the face.
No backing down.
Here comes the squad. block the formidable. You gotta stop and check if you got the lethal there. It's not quite it, but if he drops Tibbers, we know we're good. I think it's gonna be
I can do this.
pretty challenging for us to not be in good shape this game. And a Doom Beast. Okay.
Ready, Hammer?
Feel the sizzle!
Sure.
No hero, huh? Guess I'll finish this one. We got this.
We got this. GG. Well played. Mark it a W for bust. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, as I talked in the earlier piece of the deck lists, I worry about Pirates. That was a very tough match. We banned out Draven Sion because that's a problem. And then we're just hoping people play Annie-Gen if you're going to be bringing triple aggro. Like, that's certainly a winnable matchup for us. It was definitely a cheek squeezer in there, right? You got to worry about a lot that's coming at you, but you just definitely rather see Annie-Gen than something like Jax Vi. And so I'm curious on the thought. Like, well, I get the thought process in bringing Annie-Gen. It's just what people have done for a long time. But I don't think it's just a particularly strong deck. Same thing as you go with, say, like Poppy Ziggs. You know, is it a losable match? Absolutely. Sometimes they just come out and just fucking blow you away. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's really the aggro deck to be sporting. But nonetheless, GG. On to the next one. All right, so round 4 up against us. We're going to be seeing Thresh Nasus. We're going to see Zoe, Aphelios, Viktor, and then last but not least, Jinx Draven. And so I would love to be able to come out and just ban away this Jinx Draven deck. It has a lot of those same problems that we ran into against the other Draven decks, or the Sion version, but it's always such a struggle to have to come up against Thresh Nasus. Thresh Nasus should just be like completely annihilating against what our deck list is doing, but kind of the perk, at least, to Thresh Nasus is that it's playing Hate Spike Vile Feast and isn't playing anything like Vengeance, and it's not playing Kindred. And so I kind of feel like, you know, we have a slim shot against Thresh Nasus. I feel like it might be beatable, as opposed to where Jinx Draven is just probably going to come in and annihilate us. I don't know, man. I mean, the Jinx Draven doesn't have a lot of 3-power attackers. Our 2/3s might actually be useful here. It's just they always come at you with such width. I think we have to take the Jinx Draven deck out and then just take this like 60-40 matchup Thresh Nasus brings at us, and hopefully we can do something there. All right, off we go. Gallionia, Pool Party, Gallio Part 2. Let's jump on in. Whew, that's rough. That's a rough lineup. I saw that like Thresh Nasus stuff as I was scrolling through the deck lists earlier in the day, and I was like, that's not something I usually want to see. I was hoping it would be kind of spread out in matchups to where we had slightly better bans. I mean, maybe we just sack up and play against Jinx Draven. I don't know. I have a hard time imagining we ever beat Thresh Nasus. It's just such a nightmare of a matchup. It's like, oh, your units are all 3 power, so they kill everything that we have, and then we have literally no answer to Nasus, and so it's kind of scary. I assume he's gonna like ban out our Fiora deck. Fiora packing the denies, also having a little bit of power against Thresh Nasus, but I think that we're just gonna have to just leave Jinx Draven up and accept that it sucks. Except that it sucks. I mean, at least kind of like one of the perks of Jinx Draven is you do get some value out of the Mageseekers, right? If they have to spend mana to discard a Spinning Axe, that really sucks for the opponent, and so you can find, you know, some little nuggets of value against Jinx Draven. But I mean, this is not a matchup I'm excited to play against, a lineup I'm not super excited to play against, and so. Sometimes you just have to overcome the odds, you know? You have to overcome adversity, see what you can do. Oh, we banned a deck. We're waiting on him. I get confused. Yeah, I think again, like I'm a little bit happier to see Jinx Draven than I am to see Draven Sion. It just, as much as it sucks battling against all of the units in this deck because they all grow so rapidly, we do have the opportunities to just like block and trade and try and shut down their aggression, to where there's just so many units in Draven Sion we can't get in front of, right? If we have one of these curves where you go like Petricite Hound into Petricite Bird into something else, and then it's just like, oh, none of these guys block a Fearsome. You know, that's a bit of a struggle bus right there. And so at least I feel like as bad as these matchups can be, the Jinx Draven one should be at least a little bit more in the favorable space. So what's this removal suite real quick? Get excited and blow back, no mystic shots. Okay. Gotcha. So here, I think I'm actually okay to hang on to the troll chant. We're on the we're on the odd attacks here, so we can like spend all of this mana. Like I can't imagine us finding a better start against Jinx Draven than what this looks like here. Like we get to spend the first the first 3 mana of the first 6 mana of the game on units in a troll chant, or just try and completely shut down their combats. Like I think I'm on board. I mean, if it's ever gonna go okay, this is the kind of space to where, you know, it looks like.
What others only dream of. Behind ya.
It sucks. It sucks to just take these initial hits, but I think from this point forward, we just have like so much strength. It's not a matchup to where you want to be trading anyways, right? The opposing deck just has 6 units like literally all of the time. And so if we are able to you know, have these turns to where they aren't filling out their board, just kind of plays into our advantages. Interesting, just no play. I'll take it. I'll take it. So weird. This has to have a hand like completely full of burn, right? No 1-drops and a bunch of burn. Like, why wouldn't he play Draven after we attacked? That's weird. He mulligans into like 3 augmented experimenters and says, "Here you go, Bust. This is what this is what the squad looks like today." All right, so I'm leaning towards, like, we're Balin blocking on a Grenadier. That's 100% happening. Then I think the space we want to go looks like this. And then we're going to nag out the Saboteur and boost the health on the Petricite Hound. So we only lose 1 unit, and then if he has a vision, we aren't getting completely annihilated, right? Maybe we should have flipped these blockers. It's like I like the Durandi Sculptors since they give us so much opportunity to just have good blockers. Okay. Definitely don't hate it. Now we just have to combat a Jinx, right? the only remaining piece of the puzzle. How do we combat this Jinx that's about to come down?
Just you and me, Fishbones. And them.
Wonder what he ever blocks here.
Steady hands.
Probably nothing, right? Right, then we got an incoming champion strength. Only costs 8 mana now. You guys remember that change hitting the game?
I'm on the verge of something.
Okay, so that doesn't actually kill our Vayne. And he gets to pick up the spells. We'll have the chance to drop champion strength before he can get excited. Okay, okay. So we can't blow back out of this. The only response he could have between his cards is putting a... Interesting, he Death Rockets before he attacks. It's like, you gotta be attacking with this Jinx, right? Okay. Death Rocket clears out Vayne. Womp womp. But, I mean, that was about the biggest damage prevent that we could get. I think that's okay. Now we have Galio for next turn. The thing with, like, with Galio is we do have the opportunities for, like, tumbles, right? So next turn, like, if we say play Vayne here, then next turn we can look to play Anaka and then start tumbling, but I think we just want the big dudes here.
Will you fizzle me, friend? Someone who won't break?
Give me a day and you'll have
The
two.
Anaka thing is going to be something we could do a couple of turns from now if we can make it that far. Get in there, Galio. Get blocked by that Scrap Scuttler. Got 3 cards though, so ugh. That's nasty. That's nasty. Down to 3. I think we're about to get GG here. I don't know, maybe the angle is that, like, we're never going to make it back to our next attack token anyways. And so we should have looked a little bit more towards Anaka. That's tough.
Oh, part of the plan, I just made up.
Okay. GG. I was gonna say, oh my god, he's attacking with Jinx. It's like, you start to see the possibilities to where you can kill Jinx and then you can't get a Death Rocket, but... Alright. That's tough.
Well, we lost. Let's go fight something else.
We lost. Let's go fight something else. Get back out there, Galio. We gotta show him how upset we are. Alright, let me take another quick peek at this. What is this interactivity? 3 copies of the Tellstones, 1 Get Excited, 3 Pale Cascade. So it has all of the combat tricks, but it's very limited in terms of actual removal spells. And then 1 Sunhawk. So we should be able to build up pretty reasonably if we're able to watch ourselves in terms of just losing a bunch of units in the early game. So let's hang on to the Junior and then see if we can't find any early plays to go along with him. This I'm leaning towards just like the Junior doesn't have a ton of like very special targets right at this moment. I think I want to just start adding in to the Formidables. Like, it should be pretty tough for him to positively interact with who we have. Like, even if he has a Tellstones for like a Hush, and like I'm not particularly scared about what he's offering up in that sense. And so like as we add the Darkened Spear in, just not a ton he can really do about this, right? He has the 1 Sunburst and then he has a Get Excited. So here's his 1 Sunburst. We shouldn't have to worry about, removal spells the rest of the way. I was right in that, right? He has 1 Sunburst, a Celestial Wonder, and a Get Excited are the remaining ones. So hopefully we can just start going hog wild with Balin and the like. I don't know about you all, but I do enjoy going hog wild. It's one of the finer things in life. Now we have a choice in, do we want to go for Balin or do we want to go for Jaral out of the Dark and Aegis? And I think I'm pretty good with Balin here. We can get him on board and just load him up with the Darkened Spear. Should really limit what the opponent's able to do.
You know the fundamentals of space-time only apply to realities with less than 5 dimensions, right?
You have my attention, shiny child.
Would we rather just, let's actually just put it on the dog so we can attack with both. Is he gonna hit us with the Celestial Cascade, whatever that thing is called? Nope, some bad dudes. Alright.
Celeste, paint me and Stomper playing catch with Zoe. I'm a serious artist now. I paint sparkle flies.
And we
Can
grow.
I paint you?
So definitely commanding board. The thing that we'll have to start to worry about is if he's able to just like block our stuff long enough to Cosmic Call. And then it's like as he's able to Cosmic Call, we run into issues with like all of our units die to the kind of like AoE calling strike. So definitely got some moments to worry about out here. That won't start until next turn.
Ready, Scout? Let's take to the skies.
And a Moon Boy. Sure.
As darkness falls, the moon rises.
Bring in the stuns. I assume that's going to go on the Scout. Sure is. Oh, and notice he hit Challenger on Viktor. Pretty strong.
What you doing over there?
Alright, let's keep at it. We still got this monster curve, right? He should have a fair amount of trouble with Galio. He's going to be flipping really fast. And just about to have a million stats on board.
How long was I out for?
What are we at? 38 of 25? Hopefully get another +3 off of Balin. And then he has 8 mana right now. He's not dropping Cosmic Calls, so hopefully we're okay.
Get in the portal!
Genius in action.
How do we handle this? Like, do we just have to pass the turn? I mean, he can block Galio with only, like, the one combat trick he could play, though. I think this Galio attack is safe.
Right.
Like, the worry is he blocks it with Viktor and then has a combat trick to give him some bonus stats, but, like, he has the Pale Cascades, but he doesn't have the mana to play the Tellstones, and so I think this attack is safe. Just with 3 mana, there shouldn't be anything he's able to take down Galio with.
Construct.
Can just hammer down on our stats with Viktor, that's fine, but I feel pretty good about just getting Viktor off of the board.
Guide him, mother.
Alright, Moonboy says I'm here to block. Still gonna flip this Galio, got plenty of stats to have it happen, even with like a silence. We would only be losing out at max 5 stats and still have 30, so we should be pretty safe for the flip.
Metal is perfection.
Alright, let's see how nasty this Viktor's gonna get though. He's got the potential for scaries.
I may be made of stone, but I'm all heart.
Ooh, and a champion strength. It's a little awkward in the sense that, you know, if we champion strength and then he attacks, he gets to we like lose out on a rally.
Danger noodle! In times of crisis, an aspect descends to herald the reshaping of worlds.
Now I guess the realistic question is, are we ever just fucking dead? Right? If he's able to drop an elusive in at this point, I think that we're stuck just playing the champion strength. Like, this is 11 and 6? That's too close. And so at least this way, you know, if he manages to drop a random elusive or whatever, you don't have to worry about it. Is he gonna spell thief his own champion strength? Our attack is just way better than his, right? Interesting. Yeah, that has to be the angle. He played the spell thief. He took the champion strength. Now he's making an attack. But again, like, he's got to just block all of our stuff. It's not like his doing. I'm so confused. It's not like we're battling some dum-dum out here. Squallywag is definitely up at the top, but I think that was the angle that was happening. He was trying to find a way to get that champion strength in, and now he just has to block everything, right? He can't let 2 units through. Doesn't have the mana for champion strength. Okay. Send it. Now what I'm curious as to being the important thing for next turn is we still have the scout out of the Yordle Ranger. So I'm curious if we can't, you know, like, depending on what his board looks like, we get the open attack with the scout unit and maybe he has to do something, and then we'll later get the opportunity to put an additional attack down.
The messenger believes it chases the trickster.
Probably just gotta open though. This is just like way too scary of a board. The thing though is, like, if we open attack, he gets to block like, he gets to block enough of our units to where he can potentially hush down one of our formidables, and then we just can't do anything, right? It's like, oh, you get to attack for 0. Congratulations. Let's send with the Ranger. Now, we just need 1 unit to get through. Scary stuff. We can just Anaka into Anaka, right? That's all. That's all you ever need. That's all you ever need. We should have attacked with these differently. I didn't. Well, yeah, we could have gotten the War Chefs onto the Yordle Ranger. I just kind of slammed everyone on the board. Naito. The battles continue. It's got like 1 million cards, but we still feel pretty safe, right? He hasn't had a chance to Cosmic Call. You gotta like that. Now Galio coming back in for this additional rally effect. Just keeping him from attacking for the turn. We actually picked up a Sharp Sight, so like you do have to remember that he has that crazy Zoe ability. But we picked up the Sharp Sight so that if like he plays an elusive in this space, then we could actually like block the elusive, get the rally because of Galio, and then try and pull some shenanigans out that way. The star shaping. Okay, so we're going to open attack here. We're going to get these additional units coming on the board, and then like we're guaranteed to get a rally off of Galio. So then we can try and do some more shenanigans with our Yordle Rangers at that point.
Justice.
Kind of want to get the stats onto Anaka. So he's a guaranteed lethal. Like, he's probably just blocking all these dudes anyways, but that feels a little bit safer. Durandi Sculptor ready to do the work.
You cannot hold us down.
So we get a rally.
Her flowers bring the moonlight with them.
Why don't we get a rally? The first time an ally takes damage, you rally. Oh, there's the token. It was just taking excessive amounts of time to turn up. Okay. Scary stuff right there. Alright, got most of the board cleared. Got our rally. I don't know, there shouldn't be too much to worry about off of the Living Legends, right? He gets like one shot, and all of our units are already so big. I guess we'll fucking find out.
Steady hand.
Guess we'll fucking find out.
Now that's a bit better.
Alright, GG. Oof. Now we just gotta do that one more time, right?
That was fun. So who's next?
Oof. No disrespect in Vain Galio, though. She's getting upset. She's getting mad. She's getting angry. But hopefully we're in decent shape in this matchup again, right? This was the space to where, you know, he should have quite a bit of trouble actually interacting with our units. He only had just the singular Sunburst, and so I'm not, like, ultimately worried about our ability to get these units on the board and then just build up to those really big rally attacks. So we'll see how it goes. In terms of this hand in particular, I think this is a reasonable start. We got the full curve right from the start, and we got a Mageseeker Jr. in here with a combat trick. And so this is a very easy curve in terms of just like playing Petricite Hound on turn 1 and then sharp sighting into a Zoe, and hopefully just really setting them back. Tayari always ready to party though.
We were peaceful once.
Says I give the Formidables the good stats.
It's our
Give them
time.
the good stats. Ooh, good curve. Nice aggressions. I like it. I like it. So Bird gets to come in. Tayari gets to come in.
Today, base camp. Tomorrow,
Say what up.
the summit.
So we gotta worry a little bit about a Pale Cascade. So I want to put the bigger amount of stats onto our Broadwing and get off to the races. Right, nice board. Nice board.
Join the glorious evolution.
No, thank you, Viktor. That nonsense out of here. So he's done for the turn now. The junior did the junior things. Now, do we want to open attack? I mean, I don't think adding the War Chefs is going to really do a lot here, and then we still have these great attacks directly into Viktor. Can't take down the Youngling with this board, though. What's the worst that could happen, though? He doesn't have any Celestials in hand at this point. Well, I guess he did just pick up the 2 Celestials, so he can mount some stuns, but our attacks are still so good, even if he, like, randomly RNG'd into a Star-tipped Peak.
I won't stop now. Feel the sizzle.
So are we content with this? I mean, we can drop a Sharp Sight coming out of this if we want. Like, he's gonna put the Charger in front of the Mageseeker Jr. Yeah, I don't like how that looks. Let's come back.
Into the base.
Alright, there we go.
And your footing.
I think that's a little better. He's got to do a lot more thinking than us, right? We can just put all the units in the middle and say, do your thing. Do your thing. Alright, seems legit. I could see an argument here for, like, dropping Shield of Durandi onto the Petricite Hound there and just completely blasting through for a ton of damage, but I think I'm happy enough with a 3-bank this turn, and then, you know, if we just draw into a brick next turn, we can still Shield of Durandi the Petricite Hound or something, and not feel terrible about it.
I know
But
these paths
tons
well.
of good draws. Poppy would be good, a Rally would be good. Lots of powerful stuff that can come through. just a junior. I think we're going to be like a little bit short on the lethal we want here. Maybe he'll drop that Sunburst onto a Mageseeker Jr., then we'll just have the second one. That's that's how you get him. That's how you get him good. Big decisions. Maybe he just disconnected, right? He said, I had enough of this bust guy. he knows Bust gets upset if people start roping, and so I gotta stop and plan. Devise all the answers to the problems. So I'm going to send the junior in. I'll also look to Shield of Durrani, the Petricite Hound. And then next turn, we'll look to line up the Broadwing into the Viktor. The big thing that we're going to hopefully be able to pull off next turn is still find a way to deal 10 damage just with the dudes that we have on board. And so, we'll hook the Viktor. That's fine. If he blocks a junior and blocks a Petricite Hound, we still want to be in a space to where we're able to deal 10. Which we can basically get there for exacties, right? We have 2 from Tayari, 3 from the War Chefs, 3 from the Junior, that's 8, and then double Sharp Sight to get up to 10. You can still get out of that, right? You can still play you can play something like any of the heal spells, which I wouldn't be surprised to see him have in hand. So you got Star Shapings. We got to worry about Celestial Wonders as well. I mean, given the makeup of our hand, it's probably worth it to just go for it, but we'll see what we draw. If we draw a Rally, things just get a lot easier. No Rally. Alright.
Feel the sizzle!
I'm gonna take out his Mountain Scryer with the stat boost potential that he gets. And so I assume that this Cosmic Youngling is going to come down and visit a Petricite Hound. Viktor is going to come onto a Mageseeker Jr. And then we'll have to, decide, do we really want to drop these Sharp Sights? And, I mean, I think you're just kind of stuck going for it. I'm curious to see if he spends, like, a little bit of mana in this combat. But it's not like he's just going to drop down to, like, below 5 mana, right? There's not a ton that he can do. Like, if he's dropping down below 5 mana, it's going to be in terms of a way that keeps him from taking damage. And so it's probably not super worth going for it onto these physical units. So he's got exactly 5. I just can't imagine that that's the way to go about it. Like, letting him keep Mountain Scryer, I just don't think that's going to be a way to do it. Not too worried about the Viktor, that's fine. Okay. This would be a lot easier if we just hit a Rally. It'd be a lot easier. Let's just bank it all. We can play pretty much everything in our deck, and so I don't want to be out here overriding units if we don't have to. Totes my goats.
Smell that? A fight's a-cooking!
I feel like we're so close, fam. We got him to 2. We got this full board. just so close. So close. a sunburst. Dude.
Flavor and spice.
All right. Counting on you, fam. The War Chef squad ready to roll in. Look at Team War Chef ready to go.
Eat up, friend.
And we finally picked up a rally. Who knows if that'll get any usage out of here, but there we go. There we have it. GG. Victory unlocked. And so, I think that should put us in the top cut. It's like I come from a history of Magic, and like 6 rounds of Swiss. I know that if you like 4-0'd in Magic, then you would just intentionally draw in the last 2 rounds. That's not really a thing anymore, but our tiebreakers should be good enough that it just pushes us up into the top cut starting out 4-0. Because the way that the things kind of work is whenever the standings update, we'll have just a higher opponent match win percentage, because the way it goes is, you know, everybody that we've played up to this point has 100% match win rate, right? So your round 1 opponent hasn't played any games, they're 0-0, then they become 0-1, but then your next opponent is 1-0, your next opponent is 2-0, your next opponent is 3-0, your next opponent is 4-0, so their just match win percentage is always higher. So if you imagine you lose in the first round, then your next round opponent is 0-1, and then you win that, then your next round opponent is 1-1. These people just naturally have lower opponent match win percentages at that point. And so I think, you know, it's typically enough to just push it up. We'll see. You know, we'll keep grinding, see if we can't win some games along the way. It says draws on here. I guess you can draw in this. I don't know. It's been, I'm not familiar with Matcherino, but that was the way it was back in Magic, and we'll see if we can't make this top cut here. All right, round 5 beginning, up against saltysimon. Going to be doing battle up against Samira Zoe, Ekko Zilean, and the likes of Jinx Draven. And Jinx Draven's just going to be our immediate ban here. Both the Zoe deck and the Ekko Zilean deck have lots of spells that really don't want to be running into Mageseekers, so I feel pretty reasonable about battling into these. And then you saw that Jinx Draven match in the last one. You know, it's occasionally a rarely winnable one, but not something I really want to be battling. And so in terms of these decks, the Zoe Samira, very low to the ground, no real interactivity. I think we're actually kind of happy to be going up to battle with this. Just 2 Tellstones, 3 Pale Cascades, and a shitload of units. So I think that's okay. And then the Ekko Zilean deck, I think these are pretty straightforward. Nothing in here looks odd to me. So let's see. Let's jump on in. All right, off we go. Gallionia, the pool party. Gallio Part 2. Taking it a little personally, you know. Let's jump on in. All right, so banning out Jinx Draven, easy peasy. See if we can't mulligan into some Mageseekers, you know. That's the plan for the day. That's how we're gonna party. I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm curious how these line up. Again, not a ton of mage seeking really happening against Zoe Samira, but you do spike a lot of their important spells between all of the things coming out of Zoe and such, and so a little bit there. I guess it's not as like crazy as I want it to be against Samira, other than it being able to hit the flares, but nonetheless, still a reasonable play. All right, though, up against the Ekko Zilean deck, I'm just gonna hard mulligan for the Mageseeker. Found one, cool. Well done, team. And so, what are the removal spells coming out of this deck? Just Mystic Shots? 1 Quicksand, 1 Rite of Negation, 3 Mystic Shots, and then the standard Scrying Sands. Got it. Oh, he's starting off quick, huh? Says, here comes my friends, here come my dudes. All right. Predicting out those drop borders right from the get-go.
Every work demands a piece of ourselves.
Alright, Zilean comes in. Welcome to the board, my friend. Gotta get our juniors down.
This is my time.
Nice little chunks of damage he's getting in. I mean, like, there is a realistic chance that he just like starts printing time bombs, and we can't really interact with them very well. But we'll have to see. I'm ready to start attacking. I don't know how to do anything else. Time bomb number 1 rolling through. Now, how do we feel about this? The War Chef's turning up, and we do have 2 combat tricks in hand. Like, I kind of like making 4/4 Mageseeker Juniors, or even just using it to boost the health on the Durandi Sculptor. Right? It's like, it's tough for us on this turn to, like, really get a big advantage in terms of, you know, like, his units are all reasonably defensive.
Can't fight on an empty stomach.
So let's send in the squad.
These are my streets.
Okay with all of this. It's like, I think we want to hang on to the troll chance here. You know, it's just something that's useful as opponent looks to potentially build up with. Well, let's actually do it this way. No, I'm gonna take that back. It's like I worry just a touch about our Mageseeker Jr. getting hit with a Mystic Shot, so I want to just protect both of our units for this turn. Let him get, you know, reacquainted with full health and move forward. So what we're going to be kind of looking to do for the remainder of this game is, like, on this turn, right? If we could get like a 2-drop on board, like a War Chef's, I would like that quite a bit, given that the thing I want to be doing here is I want to play our Yordle Ranger next turn, and then I want to play Vayne plus Tumble on turn 7, and so I'd like to come in and try and pull all of that together. There's no real guarantees that we can do it, but I think that's where we stand. I'm just gonna take this Ekko hit. You know, it should be tough to get burnt out here. Like, if he wants to spend the full 3 mana on a time trick, I think I'm pretty okay with it. The thing that we're ultimately worried about now is just, like, is he gonna be able to burn us out? And so that's where I think it should hopefully be pretty tough for the opponent, in the sense that, oh shit, we just hit Champion Strength. I think we'll just Champion Strength next turn. But I think we're just, like, at a pretty healthy life total at 7. It's really tough for him to pop off with the time bombs and the mystic shots and everything when we have such a like a high health total. Well, 7's not super high, but it's tough for him to churn through a bunch of spells in this space. Voice of the Risen's fucking annoying. I'll give you that. I give you that, Voice of the Risen. Are our attacks still good? I mean, his biggest attack blockers are going to be Ekko and Voice of the Risen. Maybe we just attack with just a few guys. Right, I'm looking at something like this. So it's like all of our dudes are just bigger than his little dudes. And then we can still survive the Voice of the Risen. The Ekko's not the most intimidating unit here. And now I'm looking to just make this Vayne Tumble play. So we'll send our weakest unit out in front of Ekko. I think we're still safe in the event that he has the Chrono Break.
Can you stomach this?
Maybe we were too aggressive here. Does he really ever burn us out from like 3? This just has to be a Chrono Break though, right? Or he's just trying to push in those last points of damage to be able to burn us out. I don't know, this is a lot scarier than I actually want it to be. I think we have to take the Vayne path here though. If he does have the Chrono Break, we need to be able to completely fill out the board. We can't be taking any damage here, so we will at least be able to get the full 6 units to face off his full 6 units.
A delicious challenge.
Dive bomb!
Very well.
So who do we even look to protect in this space? Like, it's pretty unfortunate letting him just kind of hang out with an Ekko, but maybe this is the thing. We just let this happen, and then we can't tumble and knock it next turn, right? think we're stuck saving one of these units. God, this is a brutal match
If we hesitate, we
to not
die,
win.
And I'm not interested in dying.
It's like this is the one. This is the one we need to be pulling off. But let's see. We got this Scouty Yordle Ranger for next turn. Ideally, he's gonna have to block it with Ekko, and then maybe we can finish off with a Naka. That's tough.
All coming back to me now.
Trying to think if like we were just a little too greedy with those Ekko, like the Ekko no blocks in the earlier portions of the game. Oh shit. I forgot we just lost all of our Mageseekers as well. Oof, that was a slop fest. That was not pretty. Ooh. Alright, though. On to the next one. I had a little bit in my head that was an Ekko Jinx style of match as well. Like, it caught me a little off guard seeing the Zileans come in. Like, I think that should still be reasonably safe. Like, getting those Mageseekers on the board should just be such a backbreaker for them. But maybe we took, like, one too many hits from Ekko and should have just gotten an extra block in. It's tough. But here, let's take a full mulligan. We need to get the early game interactivity in this. We know that the opponent doesn't have, you know, the big spell heavy version of this. It's just the cascades and the Tellstones. So we're not, you know, super worried about trying to find that Mageseeker, but we still need reasonable early game plays. This is a deck kind of heavily packed with early game dudes. Petricite Hound says, "I got you, fam. I won't, I won't make you battle with no dudes." So how heavily do we want to ramp up here? It's like I'm leaning towards dropping in Vayne, and then like just dropping an Aegis on her and trying to go to town. It's just such a spot to where their units aren't very good. Right? And if you pull it up to Dustbringer, Sketcher, Scamp, Sparkologist, like these units are all very tiny. And the only unit that is really up to size to deal with this Vayne is going to be a Mountain Scryer. And you know, it's just pretty tough to have. Looks like he drops Telescope. I don't think we want to attack with the Petricite Hound here. I think we really want to be just building up board and trying to go from there. Like we can try and scale this game out with the Sculptor and the Balin and stuff. Like as you have these hands that have Galio in it, you know, you're just so heavily incentivized to not throw your units away. Alright, that Vayne party's starting. We'll get you some tumbles, girl. That's a nice way to continue on with the curve, getting the Darkened Spear to turn up. Okay, okay. We probably need an additional blocker this turn. I was getting kind of hype about putting it on a Balin, but I think that's probably off the table at this moment.
You're still painting everything? Maybe you'd like it if you weren't so busy being mean.
So with this, like, I don't want our Vayne dying to Pale Cascade. I think...
Yes, it is.
It's like he's just so far away from ever being able to just, like, legitimately come in and kill us. I think I want to clear out some board, but not be too aggressive with it. Just, again, I want to get a block in, but I don't want our units to die. And let's just keep Vayne in front of the Messenger. Like, I don't think the 1 point is ultra critical right at this moment, but sure. I don't want to risk her. And with the way that this mana has come together, we can drop Yordle Ranger next turn and tumble it, right? Assuming Vayne doesn't die this turn, we'll still have that that 1 mana ready to go. Very, very potent play for next turn. I don't know about you, but I do enjoy a potent play. Alright, opponent's going for it. Cosmic Call comes down. Curious if he's able to pick up the big AoE. One must be scared. Maybe he'll play a Spacey Sketcher and just discard it, right? Oh, he discards the fangs. This is where you say, uh-oh. Uh-oh, shit's about to get nasty. Shit's about to get nasty. This is going to be a Vayne flip. We can open attack next turn. We can look to like tumble off the scout unit, although that can be like pretty scary to do playing against a deck that has a bunch of Equinoxes in it, and so maybe that's not the safest angle to be taking, but you know, there's some potential there.
Where's my hammer? By my hand, I will end their suffering.
Ooh, you're interesting.
I have no way to like track the cards that he's played, so there's no way for me to tell if he's still got like access to more Celestials, but I think this is fine. This has to be good, right? Like just taking the open attack and then playing Galio and then tumbling the Ranger.
Needs a finishing touch.
It's just like the sequences are so slow for him. If anything that he does involves like playing an Equinox. Supernova would be a little bit more annoying, but if he Supernovas, we can just play Galio and tumble. The Immortal Fire. Alright, well, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the tumble while we still have access to the scout on board. Putting a Galio down is not going to give it enough health to survive against the Immortal Fire.
Will you chisel me, friend? Someone who won't break?
Give me a day and you'll have 2. Where's my hammer?
Let's see how that goes. Doesn't seem interested in conceding, but I didn't think there was anything that was going to get him out of that one. Whew. All right, next battle.
Sentinel's work is never done.
Hopefully, you know, we can pull off a lot of these nice Poppy Tarek shenanigans here. That's, you know, the interactivity that we just saw is so low that, you know, if we get to build up our Tyaris and everything, I think we're in pretty safe shape. Alright, and so this is one, like, I wouldn't mind having just a little bit more interactivity, but, like, this is such a strong hand in the early game in the face of, like, even a Samira. Like, they just have Pale Cascade, right? That's his only way to really interact with a 3 health unit. And, I mean, we do have the chance to just be like, it's War Chefs. the play everyone was expecting today. Yeah, it's a War Chefs, I guess.
Reality is just your mind crumbling under what it doesn't understand, silly.
Right, Broadwing down. Looking to add in War Chefs next turn. I like, it's like if we get the bird up to 3 health, or up to 4 health, and then we hook in Zoe if he follows up with Samira, the Broadwing should still be strong enough to win the combat. Or I guess not die in the combat is more accurate.
No need to make a name for myself.
Samira
Just an
in.
impression.
This technology, the War Chefs, the 3 health Broadwings. Oof. Ooh, bust. You cooking today. You cooking today. How do we want to handle this turn? Like, I think the safer angle here is probably just adding Balin. I don't feel particularly comfortable just passing in this spot. And I think at the end of the day, you know, if he's going to Pale Cascade and Flare, that's just kind of whatever. I don't really care about that. That's just like a gigantic investment in not really doing anything.
Hope they're watching.
Okay. So a kind of a bummer from the board that the opponent has here is the Charger is big enough to take down Poppy. And so if we really want to attack with Poppy next turn, the Charger can get in the way quite a bit. Leaning towards just like not dropping Poppy and just letting her come in next turn. I mean, we have so many big plays otherwise. Let's just play Poppy next turn. Like, the other thing I like about this angle is, like, say we add in the second Broadwing here, and then, you know, there's a chance we just kind of get him with this Mageseeker Jr. Lands the Equinox onto Balin.
Beautiful
Okay.
and brutal, just how I like it.
So we know we can't play any more spells now, right? You add in the Junior. You can still put more blockers on the board for sure, but the spells are off the table. So now, this attack, this attack. So we win against Samira, we lose against the Charger, but we still have our good board. Now next turn we can Poppy and rally, and then the next turn open and rally again. And I suspect that that's going to be enough to take it down. And this is one of these like really cool spots to where even though he did Equinox our Balin, then Poppy's is like, nah, I got you, fam. I got you, fam. You're not going down that easy. I won't allow that to happen. I'm going to give you those stats. That was expensive. I don't know. As Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that. All right, let's keep making the action happen here. So we're just lethal out to the left. Okay. There we are. GG. Mark it a W for bust. Taking down some more of those Celestials. Feels good, man. Feels good. And so, if we weren't certain about making the top cut before, we've certainly got it now. And so, GG. On to the next one. All right, so a pretty easy lineup, not in terms of gameplay, in terms of bans, I should say. As we enter round 6 of the Swiss here, going for that 6-0 out of the Swiss, we're up against Jax Vi, which is going to be our ban. There's Akshan Samira, which we are quite happy to play with against our triple Mageseeker lineup, and then Viktor Zoe. I can't remember if this was exactly one of the Viktor Zoes we saw earlier, but it's one of these kind of nicer lists for us to where it's one Sunburst, one Celestial Wonder, a handful of Fallen Stars, whatever, but not a ton of interactivity, so we can kind of get our units on the board and do whatever kind of craziness we're really hoping for. And so all in all, looks good. Hopefully we have a bit of good success here in this final Swiss round. All right, off we go. Gallionia, pool party. Taking it personally. Let's jump on in. Oof. Oh, gotta push a confirm button. Hope he's picking the good ones. No respect. No respect for the for the Galio vein. Say YouTube's no respect. Players. Oh, there we go. That's what you love to see. Somebody finally bringing the ban down onto Galio. And so let's get our start in here with Lulu Fiora. This is the one that we haven't really got to play too much of today. I feel like it should be pretty reasonable into both of these lineups. I like a lot of what happens with Fiora, especially lined up into the the Invoke stack. So we'll see what she's able to do. What do we got? Action, Samira. Take a quick peek at this. Oh, okay. Shapestones, Absolvers, 1 Transfusion, sure thing. 3 Grappling Hooks, only 2 Quicksands, but 2 Rite of Negations. The standard unit set, but there is an Avenging Vastaya in here. Okay, let's see what we can do. And so, you know, I really want to just be finding those Mageseekers, so I'm just going to take this full mulligan out of the early game. I can see a little bit of argument for hanging on to one of the Broadwings, but I really just want to get to seeking those mages and see if we can't start to shut down the early game spells. But reasonable enough start. He plays the dude on the first turn, so we don't have to worry about a Samira or an action on the second turn. We're free to just drop our Durandi Sculptor. Ooh. Does not appear to have either of them.
I sculpt what others only dream of.
Start getting those stats.
With a little help, I made you fly.
Not a bad start. Nice combat tricks. Nice interactive champions and cards. That's what life's all about, my dudes. Get out here and just get a little bit interactive, you know? So how do we feel about this turn? We can't challenge. I think we just look to pass in the face of this Forsaken Bakai. Like, if the opponent starts to pop off on these upcoming turns, it is nice to have this mana back so that we can play these combat tricks. You know, as he's going to be pushing through these upcoming turns, we do kind of want to have that opportunity to be just a little bit defensive, especially if he was going to come in and add like a the +3, the 3/2 like invoke thing, whatever that guy is called. So here he hasn't played any landmarks. We should just be safe with Sharpsight, right? He has Shapestone, Absolver, Transfusion. He can only play the Shapestone, so that means our bird is going to be safe at 6. He can only give +1 attack because he hasn't played that landmark yet. I did the mathematics. Y'all knows I'm good at the mathematics. So good. So good at him. All right. We should have played that Twin Disciplines, right? I thought that Samira was just gonna die. I checked out of this game. Say everything's going so fine, don't have to worry about anything. And then that was a bit of a whoopsies there. A little bit sloppy, but we'll see if we can't recover. And so with this, our bird's not going to survive against any of these units. I think that we want to just send it into this smaller bro here, and then we'll just take the full hook into Samira. We still have the mana to play this Twin Disciplines that we should have played last turn, and we'll see if we can't roll from there. Probably pretty big mistake not dropping the Twin Disciplines here, but we'll see how it plays out. Oh, all the tricks. So would we rather kill Samira or protect Fiora? I think we would rather kill Samira. Like, he's pretty invested in this board, and there's a very reasonable chance that he just doesn't have another unit he's going to be able to put these cards on. And so I think this is okay as kind of step 1. Step 2 that we kind of have with this is if he is starting to load up a unit, we do still have Captain Erica in the background to take that unit off the board. But, you know, these tricks would have lined up so much better had we played them in the proper order, just killing Samira last turn, and then, you know, if something went wrong, having the sharp sight here, I think that would have been pretty good. I'll be the first to tell you I'm not very good at this game, so it can be tough. It can be tough. So he takes the Samira flip. Makes sense. She's still going to die in this combat, but it takes a bit of mana investment to do that. Hopefully he just doesn't have another dude at this point. Love seeing that Lucky Find go away. I guess he does have the Darkened Wall on board, but that's not a unit that I'm particularly worried about. It's getting meaty though. Hit that Challenger, now he's able to go up to a 4/3. He can do some work. He can do some stuff. And he just missed. Oh, Oh boy, that's a real bummer for the opponent. And so, I mean, do we want to still just drop Captain Erica here? We can wait till he plays the equipment if we want. Like, I don't think we want to just pass into this next turn. That's just like such a weak hook, though. All right, fine.
If we are to survive, we must fight.
Not the usage of Captain Erica that I was looking to make today, but I mean that's such a pain point here in the sense that
Who's with me?
we just don't have good combats here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this block. He can have the unit back, but again, like the lucky find going onto the smaller units instead of a real card is okay with me. That's sloppy though. What a slop fest. We got to get this cleaned up before the before the top cut starts.
Every work demands a piece of ourselves.
No
Hey, here's a Samira.
Just an impression.
Now that's a bit better.
Send big old Balin into combat here. See what we can do. And I'm looking to, well, I'd like to champion Strength next turn. We do have to remember that with this opponent, they do have the 2 Rite of Negations along with the 1 Avenging Vastaya. So there's a very real chance that our champion Strength's not going to get to pop. But and he's only got 2 cards in hand at this point. He is getting up to that, like, rally phase, though, right? He's got fucking 1,000 flares. And so we have to worry about that being a problem. But he's only got 5 mana at this point, actually physically playing Golden Ambassador. And so if he's going to play Akshan here, then we could just pop off. It's not a big deal. I'd like to wait and see like how heavy he's gonna invest in this turn, though.
May we bleed forever.
Okay. Samir's big. Samir's big. So she's at 5 of 6. Most certainly going to rally off of these flares. We have to champion Strength here. She'll just OTK us. Not super ideal, but better than being dead.
Try to keep up. Blink and
She's
you'll
going to come
miss
in,
me.
chunk down Balin. Thankfully, everybody else is big enough to fight through these units. Interesting. Interesting. Surprised he's not attacking into our bigger friends here. Like, it really limits what we're able to attack back with if we don't have these Balins on board. Interesting. I guess there is a world to where he kind of like OTKs this turn. Now that's the scarier one, right? Our Petricite Hound is incapable of taking down Samira in combat now. Kind of a bummer.
Steady hands.
Oh, we're just dead at this point, right? Close. 1, 2, 3, 4 flares. So he shouldn't be able to flip this turn, but realistically, what do we do with next turn? Gotta do something big. What you got for us, friends? Durandi Sculptor, you're not gonna do it. Alright, on to the next one. And so I'm not certain if we would have been able to turn that around had we played the combat tricks in the better order. I mean, let's be real. We would have been able to take that Samira off of the board, and that would have been like quite a bit to have to recover through. And so we just got to clean that slop up a little bit if we want to if we want to have any kind of chance in the top cut. But gotta just slow down a little bit. You gotta tell yourself, hey man, cool those jets. It's not just auto win city out here. All right, into the next one. Definitely not keeping this full Balin hand. I want to, again, like, I want to have this nice build up of early game dudes, and hitting the Mageseekers would be kind of secondary and okay, but those Balin's just not where we want to be. This is reasonable enough. We should be able to do quite a bit with Fiora in this match, and again, he's only playing the one sunburst is like the way to kind of take a Fiora off of the board, and so she has a lot of potential to really pop in this match.
I sculpt what others only dream of.
All right, give me some stats, please. So who do we want to drop down next? Do we want to go Durandi Sculptor? Right, the kind of perk to Fiora being able to fight through a Pale Cascade if we go with the War Chefs next turn. But I think all of these health points are just going to be so valuable.
Strength in grace, beauty in the blade.
Picked up our second Fiora out here. That's what the riposte is. If he's going to sunburst this one, then we're in pretty good shape at that point, I think. But this is why I'm kind of curious if we shouldn't have gone with the War Chef. We picked up that point of health that's not like super important, but that's a fairly annoying and awkward turn if the opponent goes with a Pale Cascade in that spot. So not exactly what I wanted to see, but here, I mean, this game's still coming together fine. We can drop Jral this turn, open attack next turn, and see how things go. And if things are, looking good, we have access to the champion strength and stuff. And so, real possibility to just get a huge shutdown next turn. Look at all that health on Jral. My dude, my man. So meaty. Not meaty enough anymore, but I like where your head was at. I like where your head was at.
I love sparkle fly.
That's a big old Viktor. I mean, we can try and riposte into him. The thing, like, how many Telstones was this guy playing? He was playing the full 3. So the downside with Telstones for opponent is he's gonna have to invest a ton, right? If he wants to Telstones in this combat with Jral on the board. I think I'm just okay with that happening. Just trying to go for this this riposte into Viktor. And then he still has to kind of deal with everything else that we have going on, right? We have Fiora into the Sparkle thing, and then the rest of our regular attacks. And so, like, if he wants to pay the extra 4 mana to Telstones here to protect his Viktor with a Hush, I think, we're pretty okay with it. We're just going to have to take the kind of second avenue to victory.
Too easy.
Got that Fiora flip he's got to start worrying about now. So Viktor thing is fine. I don't think he's super close to killing us with Viktor. I do want to get Lulu on the board though. So if he does come at us with the, well, we're just probably just never blocking Viktor next turn, right? We'll have a total of 10 mana if we want to champion strength, although if we play Lulu, we're going to be a little bit short of that. Let's just keep the mana back. I don't know, I just feel like he's gonna really struggle to kill us with this Viktor in this spot.
Genius. No materials, no improvements.
Yup, that's purple.
Alright, Sacrificial Lulu, you can hit the board. Oh shit, he has elusive. Whoops. A little bit of whoopsies there. That's the one he just hit, though. He didn't have elusive until this turn. I think? It's so hard to tell visually. Like, I know we hit Spell Shield like a year ago, but I'm not certain. Oh shit, did we just get killed? Are we dead? I guess we didn't have an answer to Viktor here anyways, but... Holy fuck. Is that exactly 14? It was. GG. Oof. Painful. Man, I'm not certain if we had a better way out of that, but you know, losing the game there is kind of whatever. Getting blown out by Viktor is kind of fine. It's that previous one is to where I'm not super happy with how it went in our misplaying of the combat tricks. But nonetheless, it's still good enough to make the top cut. See if we can't have a little bit of success there. All right, so jumping into the top cut, we're going to be up against Kyzen. I think you can pull up the top cut thing here if you want to see it. It's probably just easiest to do in Discord. I don't know. So we'll be up here in the top half of it, up against Kyzen. If we manage to pull that off, we'll be playing the winner of Maddie Pina, who we played in the last round, and saltysimon, who we played, I believe, in round 3 or round 4 or so. But nonetheless, against the matchups we're going to be seeing today, there's Samira Seraphine, which we're fine to play against. There is Zoe Aphelios Viktor, also fine to play against, and then last but not least, there's Jax Vi, which we will be banning out. And so the Zoe Aphelios Viktor deck is much more tied into Viktor with this list, and it does have the full 3 copies of Sunburst in it. So we do have a touch of worry with this, as it's more geared towards the mid-rangey matchups than it would be towards the more aggro-based matchups that we were expecting these to kind of look like. But at the end of the day, it does still have some terrible cards in it, like Cosmic Youngling and Solari Sunhawk, so maybe we can make the best of it there. Over in terms of the Samira Seraphine deck, not anything too crazy. It's tough for me to really kind of like digest what's happening in Samira Seraphine. I just assume everything is kind of straightforward in terms of burn spells, and then I just look to see what they're playing in terms of AoE removal. And so this does not have the AoE in it. This is all just directly burn kind of cards. And then it does have 2 copies of Disintegrate for the kill anything, and then no Scourged Earths. And so I think we're, hopefully okay against there, hopefully okay against Zoe. And of course, we're just bringing that ban right against Jax Vi. So let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, off we go. Gallionia, jumping on in, pool party, here it's at. Galio Part 2, aka deck, actually with Galio, aka, and I took that personally. Let's go ahead and jump on in. And so here's the ban onto Jax Vi. Get that nonsense right out of here. Let's see if we can't get some of that nasty Mageseeker action happening. You know how this is gonna start. If you wanna rumble right, if you wanna do it well, you gotta be starting off with that with that Vayne deck. So good stuff. All these games, we're just gonna hard mulligan for the Mageseeker, and so he did not turn up there. Let's get rid of everyone. Didn't turn up here, but still a reasonable early game start between the 2 hounds and the Troll Chant. Take one last peek at this. 2 Tellstones, 1 Fallen Star, 1 Mystic Shot, 3 Pale Cascades. A bit of a ruckus in terms of other cards there. Okay, all right. There's the Mageseeker. See what you can do, Fam Jam. Turned up. He says, I know how to party, my dude. I know how to stop the spells with the best of them. And so it's an interesting space here with this turn. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Mageseeker. I'm not really worried about any of the units he can put on board this turn, right? There's just, like, he can play a Solari Sunhawk, which is kind of annoying, but other than that, well, maybe the Mageseeker is just not a big deal this turn. Just when are we going to find the time to do it? He's only playing... The thing that kind of gave me pause was going to be Solari Sunhawk. Like, you can play a Sunhawk into that dum-dum, the Fallen Star, but That's like a one of into a one of. I don't think we're really going to play around that. Let's just go ahead and get the junior on the board. If he soaks Sunburst right now, that would be kind of fucking cool. And then we'll see how this progresses. All right. Combat step. Not bad, not bad. Definitely have the tempo advantage here. And then you say, LOL, it's just another Mageseeker Jr. And so let's lead out with the Broadwing. We'll have the 6 mana next turn to both Junior and Troll Chant. And I'd like to kind of limit whatever spells he's able to play at this point. And so, I mean, would we prefer to just play him post-combat? Like, I kind of like the idea of dropping this Darkened Spear. Like, we can Spear, we can Troll Chant in the middle of combat, and then play the Junior afterwards to maybe limit his follow-ups. I dig it. I kind of like this Troll Chant fade as well, given that, you know, if he wants to play a Mountain Scryer on this turn, we have a really good chance to just fucking nuke it. And so, I dig it. I've convinced myself. Bird comes in. Alright. Not as exciting. I do not approve of Pale Cascades in this space. Where are we at? Give an ally 2 health. Take the negs off of this other guy. Combat achieved.
We will be free.
Here it comes. Let's get down there, Junior. Ah, he gets to cast a spell. Aw. Sad day. Sad day indeed. Oh, he does not cast his spell. Alright, now we should be, like, really just popping off here, right? We got the 2 Yordle Rangers. Like, we have to just be able to double slam next turn. Okay, I was a little bit worried about what happens if a Cosmic Call happens right there, but without the Cosmic Call, we gotta be feeling pretty good, right?
I can see the whole battlefield from
Back
here.
to playing Scouts. Interesting. I wonder if that was a misclick. Why is he stunning our Mageseeker Jr.?
An opening.
Like, I'm pretty okay with the... Like, that just seems... I don't know. That strikes me as a misclick. Like, I guess you do get the opportunity to now, like, Fallen Star or whatever it's called onto the Junior, but it's something that he really even cares about. Like, if you play Fallen Star on the Junior, like, you're just getting smoked. That's like a super long-term kind of play. He's got something in mind. Wow. I don't know, man. Maybe he's looking to just hush in this combat or something?
Striking their flank.
He's like, why do you even care so much? To play a Tellstones, that makes sense. That brings in the hush, but your Viktor still falls. That was a meaty bit of self-preservation there. I do admit. Still feeling pretty good about it though. He needs to hit like a life steal or something crazy off of this Viktor. Faded is not what strikes me as the thing that he was wanting. Now with this turn, like, are we ever realistically going to not open attack next turn, right? So the thing I'm curious about with next turn is like, I want Giral on the board and doing stuff, but we can't play both champions this turn. Maybe we just lead in with Giral. I don't think he's really going to be doing too much here in terms of attacking. And then we can still consider, like, I don't know, I'm pretty on board with just open attacking next turn. Like, do we really want to get this Yordle Ranger in the mix? I mean, maybe we do. There's not a ton of super scary cards he can be playing next turn, right? Wow. He does not want Giral doing his thing. So let's say we go into this next turn. My concern with that is he's got like the stun stuff, right? Oh, he's not playing the stun too. He's playing Shield Vault. I'm just kind of curious, like, what happens if we bring an attack with the Yordle Ranger and then give him a chance to play more spells. Like, that's pretty intimidating. Or like, what if this Viktor hits a lifesteal? But I mean, the Viktor shouldn't be doing too much in the middle of combat. Let's draw Galio.
I see an opening.
Alright, let's take it slow. It's just like my line of thought and thinking with this is, if he does manage to like hit a lifesteal off of Viktor or something, we're still pretty okay. Not too worried about Cosmic Calls here. To me, this is like a damned if you do, damned if you don't spot with Cosmic Call, to where if you hit a unit, it doesn't do anything, and then if you hit the small AoE, then we just have enough big boys to follow up with, and then if you hit a Supernova, we're still looking pretty strong. And so now without Viktor on board, he can't play the 5-costers. Alright, party time. Getting out of this turn. That's for certain.
Looks like fun.
So he does still have his big spell in hand, but he's only got 2 cards. I don't suspect there's anything coming out of that. I guess the big concern here now would be if he has even a second Cosmic Call, you can't cast the Living Legends off of it, so we're okay there. Traveler's doing the digging, trying to find that Living Legends. It's scary. If he finds the Living Legends, he can certainly pop off. Oh, fuck. Okay. Cosmic Raise has happened.
All right, let's get to work.
That's the spirit magic hammer, lady.
Fallen Comet. Okay. Good, I think he recovered out of this one. Should have brought that open attack, huh? Should have brought it. This is not good, fam. This is not good. Does he fall to 1 card after all this nonsense?
Always finds its mark.
Oh my god. Sad noises. And it's like we got our Anaka obliterated away, so we don't have the opportunity there either. What's he? It still has 2 cards left in hand. That's not ideal. I'll give it that. I give it that. Okay. There's the, you got a GG at this point, but we'll give it a call there. See if we can't 2-0 this Seraphine. But that's tough. I mean, that game came down to that one attack. It's the thing with it to me is if you go in and make that just big open attack and he has the heal to get out of it, the game's just done, right? You have such a tough time recovering out of that. But by taking that the scout open attack and getting the Viktor off the board, that feels, you know, pretty strong. There's just a very limited collection of cards that can get out of that mess, and so kind of a bummer to have it fall that way. But same deal, much more important in this match than the previous one to have the Mageseeker guy. We'll search as hard as we can. He didn't turn up, but we still got a pretty strong early game curve. Get down here, dog. Do we want to just bank through the turn? It's like I feel kind of safe just adding in War Chefs. Like, we do give up on the Petricite Hound at this point, but I mean, if we're in a world where he just doesn't have Samira, then we really just want the unit on the board because our hand doesn't do anything. I don't think it's super worthwhile to bluff just having the combat trick here. Let's just get all of our units down and make him spend the mana. And then if he has the Samira to just get us, fine. But it just feels more like a kind of mystic shottable kind of space. Okay, and then I'm going to go for the double unit this turn unless we draw something weird. Darkened Spear is kind of interesting. We can lead out with the Petricite Hound and see what happens. I don't think we want to be going with Vayne here, though. I want to be coming out and getting our width on the board. Ready to party, bro. Bring in the invokes into the other decks, huh? Okay, because I had to stop and check on that Mystic Shot. Not bad. Start getting some of those stats. More Darkened Spears. The formidable bros, the formidable posse ready for action. I dig it. I'm leaning towards just taking the mana effective route here and going War Chefs into Vayne and then just starting to tumble next turn. You know, we gotta get some tumbles off of our Vayne deck if we're gonna come out here and do it. Good Vayne. You fought hard, girl. You fought hard. And we'll load up the stats onto Balin. I don't think it's going to be super relevant in this match because the opponent's not playing stuff like Scorched Earth. But you do get to kind of heal that damage back in these 1-damage scenarios. See how Balin does not have damage on him anymore. And so if he was able to... you know, kind of get away from
Daylight star will rule the skies.
lets him kind of get away from a handful of things. I think we're good to send in this tumble. We're going to have pretty big attacks next turn. It can be a bit awkward in the sense that tumbling these Darkened Spears can be quite strong when you want to get your Inakas on the board. But this is just such a monstrous attack right out the gates. Really hopefully keep him on the back foot. The Golden Sister makes the copies. That's unfortunate. You see the Golden Sister get blood for blooded and you're just kind of like, okay, well, if you only get the one unit, that's not so bad. But with him getting both units, that's kind of meh. So how at risk is Balin here? It's not that bad. Let's leave the War Chefs at home, send in the team. If he wants to play a bunch of combat tricks, we'll just have to troll chant out of this turn. But it strikes me as a little dangerous, just going for the champion strength. Love to see him spend 6 mana on the Golden Sister, and then we can drop champion strength. Alright, give me the heals.
Take the shot or lose the chance.
You deserve all the heals, Balin. What are you up to now? Is it like +3 health on the day? Feels like it should be more. Feels like it should be more.
I hear you, Zon.
So Seraphine gets the flip, but he doesn't have a ton of cards in hand. I think this is kind of like this. It's similar to those previous games to where we would like to just champion strength and kill, but we're a little bit too far away from the kill to really go for it, I think. The question with this round is like how many Plaza Guardians can he add to the board? And the answer is a lot, but I mean I think we can kind of just come in and block. Holy fuck, that War Chefs is a 7/8? Maybe we can make something out of this. I didn't realize he just had this fucking monstrous pile of stats. I wouldn't have even noticed. I was getting like tunnel visioned in on this Anaka, being like, okay, well we gotta get these stats on the board with Anaka, but holy fuck. He's ready to pop.
Beautiful and brutal, just how I
Alright,
like
this
it.
doesn't really look like a Plaza Guardian turn. It looks like we're just gonna get hit with Samira. I mean, he's still capable of chaining off a ton of spells here, but
Hope they're watching.
hopefully it's okay. Doesn't seem like the Plaza Guardians anymore, though. But I mean, it's so hard to tell. Like, if he has like 1 Plaza Guardian and an iterative improvement, that's going to be 3 spells. He's going to be 4 spells at Samira. Like, he can just pop super fast here. Fairly worried about the results that are going to come of that. But with this champion strength, you know, hopefully we're in that spot where he just adds 1 Plaza Guardian, we attack, and then he just has to block everything. Double Guile onto the Petricite Hound. Interesting.
Hand to the face. No one goes hungry.
That's good. That's good. Nice. Nice 1-mana counterspell to the champion's strength. So yeah, might be dead. We didn't pick up our Mageseekers, so there wasn't a ton we could do about it, but he's like at least going to play Flare, hook in the War Chefs, and then can continue to pop off. We're just so far away at 10.
Try to keep up.
Isn't it thrilling?
That's brutal.
This should be fun. Blink and you'll miss me.
Eyes bigger.
You know what we want to do? We want to get the Anaka on board, attack, and get the additional Anaka attacks going in. But we don't have access to it. Oh shit, an 8/8 Mageseeker. Like, how worth is it even at this point? Like, our hits off of the Anaka aren't very good, right? Like, we can... Like, Yordle Ranger would be good. Outside of that, the rest of our units aren't particularly impressive in this space. I mean, it has to be better dropping Anaka than just putting down the Mageseeker Jr. Like, if this was turn 2, then maybe it would be... Or turn 3, it would be okay to drop the Junior, but... What's it limiting here? It limits flares. I just look at this as like, okay, we're going to add Mageseeker Jr. to the board, and then he's going to just play an iterative improvement and not particularly care. Like, he just has so much mana at this point. Alright. Naka it is. So many stats on these dum-dums. Like, where were you at? You came from so far away. Are we gonna get bursted? Holy fuck. Oh, I guess he did play the weapon hilt on the previous turn. He can't double up Flare, so he needs a second card to go with this.
Thrilling. Try to keep
I mean, he's down to one card at this point.
Follow me.
It feels pretty bad news bears, but I mean, this isn't
Hope they're watching.
lethal by any stretch of the word.
Isn't it thrilling?
Feel the sizzle! Eat up, friend!
All right, friend, feel the sizzle.
What a shame. Make this interesting for me.
It's gonna be a song spinner. Like, it's not crazy to think he has anything in his deck at this point, but if it was a song spinner, probably would have already popped it. Doesn't seem like one.
What a shame.
All right, what are you bringing in? What do you got for us? Moving it back and forth. A wiser player would be able to deduce what this card is. It's just I'm so bamboozled by Seraphine. Weirds me out. Okay. Is he doing this setup to try and OTK through the 1 health Petricite Hound? I don't know. He doesn't have very many cards left to try and do that stuff. There's the Song Spinner. Well, we have an opportunity to kind of get this, right? I mean, he's expecting these spells to be free, and getting the Mageseeker Jr. in now gives us some opportunity. Jesus. What a stretch. What a stretch.
Sure, it's a classic. But have you heard the remix?
Right, casting cards on Samira and stuff. Unit removed, sure thing.
Try to keep up.
I mean, it's like this just feels like a board to where we need to be playing double Anaka. Right, because he's pretty free to just drop the Golden Sister in at this point, but we gotta limit this in some way. Like, we can't just let him go fucking bonkers with Samira next turn. And our unit is pretty big. I did the mathematics on this, and the Mageseeker, the Mageseeker Jr. is pretty large. Right, this is what we kind of wanted to see on this turn, is dropping the Junior in now kind of takes away from his ability to pop off with Samira and then use those free spells. What do you mean I don't have enough mana? Naka. There we go. And we got a scary shot. Like, I assume he's just going to drop the Golden Sister here, but if he gets a little overly clever with how he makes these blocks, we can come in with quite a bit of surprise damage with his Sharpshite Shield of Durandi, especially if we hit a Formidable.
Divinity. We have no quarrel.
Let's hear it!
I bow to no one.
Did not hit a Formidable, but, you know, the option was there.
You are beneath me.
Wish you did. I wish you had the classic sharp sight for us, getting us that getting us that extra point of attack like in the olden days. Unfortunately, not the case.
Is this your best?
All right, what's coming in? Is it going to be some double disintegrates to take our juniors away? This one's been a fucking roller coaster. I thought this game was just done like 4 turns ago, but it turns out we had a little bit more life in us than I gave us credit for. And a quicken onto Seraphine. Okay. Can't do anything about that. We can get a Samira flip this turn, but, or I'm sorry, a Samira rally, but I don't imagine he really wants to be using that. Man, do you know where that extra little bit of damage could have came from? Is if we'd put, I didn't play the Darkened Spear on the previous turn. If we'd put the Darkened Spear down and then attack with that unit to the left of Anaka, we could have used that as a tool to get that extra point of damage onto that unit we're stacking to the top of our deck. Didn't go for it that way, but would have been something. There's the Big Daddy. Unfortunately not flipped, but let's get him down.
Must be some magic about.
Alright, that was enough. Oof. Okay, fellas, okay. Can't get knocked out playing the can't get knocked out playing the Freylord deck. You gotta come at it with some strength in that thing. Alright, Poppy Tarek. Let's go, fam jam. I believe in you guys. So again, we're gonna just dig for those Mageseekers, see if we can't turn them up. And like this is just too expensive anyways, but we really want to find those Mageseekers. Didn't turn up, but this is still a reasonably effective early game hand. Tayari says, I want a party. Like, what are even his turn 2 plays? Like, I just eyeball this, like, popping off with Tayari on turn 2 here. I mean, I don't know. He's pretty heavily incentivized to just play a Mystic Shot onto Tayari if we do it. So let's add a dude that has a little bit more health, a little bit more flavor. So if he is going to play removals this turn, it'll just go onto the Petricite Hound. And then we can save our little bit higher powered Tayaris for these future turns. Like, it's very worth noting that with Tayari, like, we're up against a deck that does a lot of just damage-based removal, and putting these 0-2 attacks onto stuff can be extremely relevant. So, we'll see. He drops a Scrap Dash, so now we don't have to worry about a Samira attack this turn. I'll put down a blocker. He's never attacking if we're going to be real, but we'll still get the blocker down just in case. And then we'll follow up with Tayari's. Who'da thunk, man? Tayari was gonna come out here and just bring the muscle, bring the fucking thunder. Who'da thunk? It's like I really want to drop these Tayaris in place of just Poppy. Like, the tempo swing is just so much bigger. And then this should set us up for that spot to where, like, next turn we play Poppy, and then the following turn we can open attack and then rally and hopefully really get to cruising with the Poppies here. Stun and Blade's Edge. Okay.
Together, we can do this.
Together we can do this, fam jam. It's pretty drained out of cards at this point. Our attack here is still safe. I don't really want to be making trades at this point. If we're going to be adding in Poppy, the classic thing we always say on the channel is you'd rather boost 5 units with Poppy than boost 1. And so I don't want to be coming out here and just trading everything away as we're about to just pop off and build up.
Sun, run, bun. Doesn't have to rhyme. All right, team.
Let's see.
Adventure time.
I hope you stick, girl. I hope you stick. I was considering playing Balin first, right? He just doesn't have the stackability for the round. Ooh, was that intentional? Uh-oh. I think he thought he created a card for the turn.
Hand to the face.
I can do this.
I think we want to give maximum stats to Poppy.
No time to rest.
Ready?
We can still just hook Samira in. If we fail the combat with Samira, I think that's okay.
You've got this.
Just want Poppy having the most damage resilience here, if you will. Like, ideally, it takes quite a bit to take her off of the board. And then if he's not taking Poppy off the board to protect Seraphine, I think we're in a fantastic spot. The Disintegrate. Okay. Good looking board though. Good looking board. Drop Balin here. Balin next turn in Relentless Pursuit. Ooh, Fam Jam. I don't know. We might have done it. Gotta like seeing that. You know, Sojourners. Oh man, and we have the mana for it. Oh, buddy. Oh, fam. We got the 2 support units on the board along with the Sojourners. That's a lot. That's a lot. He needs a unit here as well if he wants to pull off a challenge with the Broadwing.
Today is the day we master the mountain.
I know
Alright,
we
let's
can
master
reach the
that
top
mountain,
if we work
boys. I
together.
think we're good. Whew. He does still have 2 free cards in hand, but gotta be real. This is big. This is big time. Okay. Didn't expect the challenge to come in.
Hands up now.
I think we're still good.
I can do this.
Go the maximum damage route here.
Everyone okay?
That's it. GG. Well played. Mark it a W for Bus. Whew. Get into that top 4. All right, so jumping into the top 4, we're going to be up against Matty Pena. He managed to take down saltysimon. I think I had that pulled up over here. If you're wanting to see the top 4 of the bracket, looks like we do battle with Matty Pena, and then Donut's going to be battling Rogio. But we played him earlier. We're going to be banning out the Jax Vi. He had the Akshan Samira deck along with another Viktor Zoe deck, a collection of cards that we're hoping to Mageseek out of this thing. And so his Viktor Zoe deck, a lot more oriented to the early game that we were hoping to see. And then the Akshan Samira deck was pretty straightforward with the 2 Rite of Negations, 2 Quicksands to try and boom us with. All right, the battles are beginning. Gallionia, pool party. Look at that. And I took that personally. Jump on in. Lineup's locked up. Where's Viktor? Get out of here. Oh, Jax Vi. Oh my god, I'm getting old. Getting old, I'm getting tired. It's like dinner time. I've had to eat some snacks throughout the day. You get old and you're like, oh fuck, my blood sugar is gonna drop or something. I gotta remember to get a snack. I'm good though. Ate some week and a half, 2-week-old lemon bars. I got some sugar in my system. Feeling good. All right, the battles begin. He leaves up Fiora. I feel like we gotta just start with it, right? Yeah, like we're gonna control deck him. You gotta get it out here. All right, well, let's see how it goes. As with all these other games, we're just gonna hard mulligan for the Mageseeker. See if he turns up. So far, does not. Get out of here, all you other cards. And there he is. I have such high hopes for you. Such high fantasies of the things you're gonna be able to do. Let's go. I had to stop and think if we'd even gotten to play Lulu today. We have. So, it was a bit of a bummer in that sense. Do we ever attack into a 2-2 champion with the Sculptor? Like, am I willing to trade the Durandi Sculptor for a combat trick? I don't think so. I'm really hype about getting this 3-4 Mageseeker Jr. on the board. And so I think I'm good to just go ahead and swing. We'll deal the damage. We'll follow up with the Sculptor. And then if he has no play, it kind of is what it is. Is that how we feel when Samira hits the board? Like, does he just open attack on Samira? I think that's okay.
Work demands a piece of ourselves.
And then if he doesn't open and we get to drop the junior, then we're just off to the races. And so, like, my idea and thought with this is that, you know, the way that he's really going to pop off is going to be if he starts adding an action to get the landmark going, if he puts a swinging glaive down or something. That's just going to give us a chance to play the junior. And so now that we've got the junior on board, he can attack with Samira, don't really care. And then we're open to start trying to challenge down next turn. So I think that's all in all pretty good. Got all these Captain Ericas ready to just party as well. Alright, so he's got 3 mana back. He can play a combat trick, but the Samira should be at risk here. And so I'm not going to attack with the Mageseeker Jr. We'll try and take Samira down. We'll just play this a little bit safer.
Don't touch it.
And then we're building into champion strength kind of cards, and so pretty on board with that. So we'll see how this turn goes. Like, it's a little scary in the sense that he does have this Samira hook into the Mageseeker Jr. this turn, but like, this is just so expensive, right? And it's also like a really like high risk play in the sense that if we have a combat trick, this game's just over. And so I would think from the opponent's viewpoint, he's probably just stuck and has to do it. But it's like, I still feel really good in this turn if he attacks Samira into the junior, and then we get to just play Captain Erica next turn. All right, well.
What I do in Demasia's name.
Don't want to see that nonsense. Let's get her right out of here.
Bask in the sunlight.
So again, let's not get too crazy. We do have this champion strength in hand. Like, what is he playing? He was playing 2 Rite of Negations, right? All right on that? He was playing 2. So
Enemies, take heed.
a touch to worry about there. But I mean, if we just get to pop off with Captain Erica again next turn, and then 2 turns from now, we get to add Lulu and champion strength, like, that's all money, right? So fucking money, and you don't even know it. So he does have another round of potentially scary things, right? If he sends his Samira into Captain Erica and then gets the second unit back on board, that's kind of scary. But all right, just going for Mageseekers. Gotta feel pretty good about that. Gotta feel pretty good.
I cannot recover all that is lost, but I will try.
So we can load up this Chronomancer a little bit. It does have some options to drop spells and stuff onto these, but I don't know. It's been so awkward just like not having the opportunities to get our smaller units into combat, because we just haven't drawn any combat tricks this game. Well, here's our chance, right? we can get Lulu on the board. We finally find a combat trick in Whimsy. It's the chance we have. It's our shot to finally finally make a combat happen. So none of these units scare me now, right? The thing that would ultimately be a gigantic problem for us is if he comes in and he plays a bunch of spells and then he's able to kill off one of our Captain Ericas. But like I feel like with Whimsy now we can just kind of do whatever we want, and so we're gonna hook like the Vagabond out of combat. It's probably better to hook the Golden Ambassador out with Fiora, and then if he tries to make a play onto Captain Erica, we can probably soak it.
They won't like this.
Strike crit-
Oh god.
Gotta feel good about that, right?
Listen to me.
Gotta feel good about that. Okay. That's scary. I don't know. I made that attack, and now I'm like, I don't know, man. That feels super dangerous. So what are the chances we can pop this champion strength this turn? You know, if he gets 2 champions on board, I don't think we care. Let's just keep passing. Make him do something. He's gonna come in on Captain Erica, and then it's just like with him having so much health at this point, it's so challenging to try and fight through all this. So he's gonna have 2 units on board here. I don't think we have to worry about these Samiras flipping. It doesn't strike me as being a real pain point or a real problem. And now we still have another, pretty big lineup of good attacks. Just ultimately, I don't know. It's like a lot of times in life, I just want to rip off these champion strengths and just not worry about it. But that just doesn't seem like, doesn't feel very safe. He's done a pretty ideal job of staying over 4 mana at this point, but we gotta have something special happen fast, or he's gonna get to start comboing.
You cannot run from absolution.
I don't need rules to know good from bad.
Just
Yeah,
when
it's
you
pretty
thought
scary.
you'd seen it all.
This is like we're at such a point to where if Captain Erica dies and then he gets an additional unit back afterwards, that's oof, that's that's rough right there.
Timeline, we're sure to save Ekathia.
So let's see what happens. He's popping off quite a bit, that's for certain, but he's only got 2 cards in hand at this point. I don't know. I don't like how any of this board looks right now. I'll be real with you. It doesn't look appealing. I was hoping that we were going to be in a spot to where we could just get like just a little bit wider than him and be able to pop off something there, but this is ultimately just so scary at this point. Shield of Durandis are not where we want to be. Alright. You know what it's time for, boys? Sometimes you just gotta squeeze your cheeks. 'Cause that is not good. That is not good right there. Uh-oh. I think he's recovered out of this one. It's like he doesn't even have to counter the champion's strength at this point. It doesn't really do enough. We'll still try and force this out of him. Like, I guess his smaller units aren't that scary, and he's a blocker short of what we have. So if he gets too crazy and doesn't block our Petricite Hounds, we might be able to pull something off, but... Eef. Eef. Is he just going to OTK us from here? That's certainly on the table. These Samiras are at 5, so he's definitely gonna be able to flare and get the rally. That's brutal. That's brutal right there.
Try to keep up. Isn't it thrilling? Blink and you'll miss me. This should be fun.
All right, that's our chance. That's our shot. You just need one shot, right? Just give me one. Just give me one. Oh man. All right. Can't snap that off fast enough. If he's got a trick, this game's over. He just gets so much stuff on board at that point. Holy shit. Okay. Okay. The game's back on. The things are back in. And so, like, we have to just attack with everybody, right? He loses all of his champions at this point, and then Captain Erica's gonna die, but that unit's just gonna come back as like a 2-2 or a 3-3. Like, we gotta party.
Glory to Demacia!
Unfortunately, taking him just to 1. We have to kill all of his units here.
Hug it out.
Is this your best?
Don't touch it.
That sucks. I'll put that knowledge down there. That sucks. I want this guy to still have units out here. So he's got a big chance to just pop off here again. I guess we could like draw another champion strength or something and maybe be in decent shape. Holy fuck! Look at the game's done. The game's done. Alright, GG. And so that's rough. That's that spot you run into with champion strength as to where, you know, sometimes you just have to run it. You just have to put it down and say, okay, you know, you have to have the answer. I'm presenting my big question. You have to have the answer. But it always just felt like we had like just enough on board to really get by. But our two small units in that game just like could never get active, could never get rolling, and so it was like we just had a couple of landmarks on the board that we could never get up and running. All right, into the next one though. We don't have our friend. We'll just take the full mulligan. That hand sucked anyways. There he is. I got to come back and circle. We've faced against so many of these weird decks on the day. This guy has the 1 Sunburst, Celestial Wonder, but then the 3 Fallen Stars and then the 3 Hush Makers, and so. He has a handful of interactivity here for certain, but
I bear a message from. Oh, hey, what's that?
not a ton.
What you doing over there?
I'm gonna let him get rolling with his Zoe. I think that we're safe to just like drop in the Sculptor and then probably just add in the Junior. And you can just say you gotta pay the price, my friend. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Zoe, I'm a serious artist now. I beat Smirkleflex.
Then to me, it's always okay if he just like has the answer to this Mageseeker Junior. It's well, he got rid of the thing. We can wait a turn. Let's just wait a turn.
With a little help, I made you fly.
Yeah, like that's the Equinox is exactly what we don't want hitting our Junior, and so I'm glad we got a touch of a bait here. Now with this, he's not playing Pale Cascade, but he is playing Fallen Star, and so it's probably not worth losing out on the stats to just slam a Durandi Sculptor into this combat. So we'll hold back for that one. I'm really kind of interested in what Fiora and Co are going to be able to do here. So let's drop in Fiora. The next turn we'll have 5 mana, and we can start off with the Broadwings and the Juniors. And then we'll try our best to not just mess up playing the wrong combat tricks this time, you know? No guarantees, but we'll try our best. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just heal Fiora. Like next turn, we're just playing Mageseeker Jr. We're not gonna have the mana to do it, and so we'll just try and give her the heals. Opponent disagreed with what was about to happen. He said, I got all the Fallen Stars. So I still feel good with this. We're going to add in Broadwing. try and hook down this Zoe. We'll drop the Junior right after dropping in the Broadwing. Get to combat.
Portal me something cool.
Slight adjustment.
Okay. You gonna flip Zoe? She's getting up there. She's escalating. It's a little bit of a worry. I think he's really can't flip Zoe with the Mageseeker Junior on the board. But stranger things have happened.
I sculpt what others only dream of.
And the Mountain Scryer. Okay. Well, I feel like a lot of this game we've really kind of played into the opponent's game plan in the sense that we haven't limited their abilities too much. But I mean, now we gotta pop onto Zoe. If she sticks at 7, like that's really scary in the sense that if he wants to play the Targonian Tellstones and play any of the spells off of the Tellstones, then he can just get the straight flip, and she's done the work. And then we have to worry about her. It's a Golden Sisters we can't answer for the rest of the game. But if he doesn't drop a spell right here, you don't have to worry about it as much. And then we want to hook Zoe with Fiora. If Fiora gets hushed, she's still going to get the kill. Whereas if our Broadwing gets hushed, it's not doing anything. So these are certainly happening. Like the Junior, I feel like we got to get him into combat at some point. Like I feel like we've just gotten to the stage of the game to where the Junior just doesn't do as much anymore. He does play 3 Pale Cascades though. Well, the Pale Cascades aren't enough to take the Junior down in the face of these other dum-dums.
Needs a finishing touch.
Okay, we got to get rolling.
Oh, you're interesting.
That was a 2-mana Cosmic Call. I guess a 3-1 given the state that we're in. And so we got to assume that he's like he's just gonna play a Tellstones and a Hush or something. This is pretty bad. Yep. So Zoe gets the flip. Oh, that's soul crushing. Oh my god, we don't even get the fucking kill onto Zoe? I don't know about this game. I don't know about this. Interesting he lets the Mountain Scryer fall, and not the Zoe. Like, she already has Elusive and all the good abilities and stuff. Let's go ahead and drop in Lulu. Like, if we do come into a spot to where it's like, oh, we drew another Lulu and then we can play Whimsy or something, that might be relevant. Speaking of might be relevant, so we can't cast it onto Zoe, that's just the way the game works, but we might be able to cast it on some of these other units. Just like, I don't know, I don't see how we're supposed to power through with this combat. We don't have enough going for us. He doesn't even have to attack with the Zoe here. Looks like he's gone to. I fully expect that attack to come in, but it's not a requirement. So how are our attacks going on this next turn? I want to get the Aegis on board. So we're going to be, say, like Fiora hooking into something. Lulu needs to buff Fiora. We can't just send the Drawl into Zoe. So many of these units just suck at this point. I guess if we're going to be real, we're never OTKing with Fiora. And so we don't have to be that safe with her. But I think we want to get one of these Durandi Sculptors off the board. Okay. Champion Strength. That's the answer, right? That's the answer, huh? Just Champion Strength. It's apparently not the answer.
They won't like this.
Try me.
Oh, coming in for 6 damages. Look out. Look out. Ugh. Nasty. That's nasty. Alright, so I mean, we've cleared out most of his board. That's all well and good and nice, but if he has just any of the big Celestials off of that Cosmic Call, then we're kind of hosed. I guess, well, he didn't do the neg cost on him, so maybe we're almost safe. That's the place to be, huh? Maybe we're almost safe. Whew. It was a supernova. Let's get some friends on board. If we do manage to pick up a champion strength next turn, I want to be able to cast it and add a unit to the board. And so let's go ahead and slap down some stats. That's going to do it. GG. All right, not a bad set of games. That was tough. Like, I was expecting to, like, that matchup. It's just one of those that feels like it should be going a little bit smoother, but I mean, he managed to 4-0 our Fiora deck today, and so that's been the real kind of pain point in her stat line with this is she got 4-0'd by Nollop there, and so like it just felt like in that matchup at the end of the day we ran into too many spots to where we just couldn't attack with our units, right? If you saw the games where we were really being effective in those matches, we're able to get really aggressive with our dudes on board. And it feels like in like a lot of the games that we ran into with this Fiora deck today, we're in this space to where we have a like Durandi Sculptor on board, or in a lot of these games like 2 Durandi Sculptors on board, and they're just like sitting there landmarking against the opposing just like 2/3s, and you can't attack. Is very odd. Like being in these spaces to where we could only attack with like 2 or 3 units. And so maybe there's just like a little bit more we need to do with that deck. And so it's like if you're looking at say like the Freylord deck, we can put a like a Darkened Spear onto the dude and still get an attack. Or if we're playing the Poppy Taric deck, we still have like the War Chefs and the Taric little Taric things to give some boosts, and so it can go that way. But it just feels like every single game that we lost there, we were just like a touch of an edge away from just fucking running away with it. And it was just like way too many games to where those units were just landmarking and not taking control of the board. And so like we really need to be snowballing the board against the Targon decks, and we just weren't quite able to do that with the Zoe decks, or with the Lulu decks. And so we might have to look a little bit deeper or look a little bit harder into that. But nonetheless, you know, good set of games, managed to hit the top 4. I was really hoping that we could finish off this thing. We could really come home and take down victory with the Freylord deck, and just the kind of ultimate fuck you for nobody watching my video. It really hurt my feelings. And so I think we'll have to say a top cut run here was pretty good. And we'll have to be okay with that here at the end of the day. And so with this lineup, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, the spaces that you can run into issues with are going to be the triple aggro lineups. I feel like as we played against, you know, the Draven decks that we just have to ban, and Pirates, those are all problems. If you're looking to play the aggro lineup, I highly recommend playing Jax Vi as opposed to playing something like Annie Jhin or one of the other bad aggro decks. And so that's kind of piece 1 takeaway for the day. Otherwise, you know, I think we had a pretty good run here. We played against a bunch of people that are just way better than us, still had a lot of good success and results. And so I think this lineup was really carrying pretty well, and we can adjust it a little bit and have something really nice and strong as we look to go into the Open in the next weekend. And so, long video, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope maybe learned a thing or two along the way. you had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.